Chapter 1465. Earthly sovereigns' loud laughter resounded. For emperors. While laughing, earthly sovereigns suddenly muttered, "Damn," according to what Xian said, "it's actually 4 prisoners." Heaven and earth fell silent. Prisoners. Emperors were all prisoners. In life imprisonment. Earthly sovereign muttered again. Fong Ping's expression kept changing. "I hope I can't even see it." Earthly sovereign seemed a little crazy. Soon, he gritted his teeth and said, "But I'm the emperor, the invincible emperor. I've also contributed to the 3 realms. More than 8,000 years ago, I told John to fight it out. It's better to break out of prison than to be a prisoner. It's better to destroy the world." But this bastard didn't agree. "Hong!" Dong Wang frowned slightly and growled. Earthly sovereign looked up at him and raised his eyebrows. "How, why did you call me? When I was dominating the 3 realms, you didn't even dare to fart. What, do you want to challenge me?" Earthly sovereign was strong, very domineering. After becoming an emperor, there were not many people he liked. Among the 3 emperors, he only looked up to Zhan because he felt that only Zhan was qualified to be his friend. Emperor of Batian? Emperor of Annihilation? Just a weakling. He Hong was so arrogant, so flamboyant. Of course, he was only arrogant to the powerhouses. The others were not qualified. In the eyes of outsiders, Earthly Sovereign was considered a good emperor. The realm he ruled was relatively stable. Earthly Sovereign was not interested in bullying the weak. He almost did not care about the affairs of the realm. He only cared about the powerhouses. Dong Wang did not say anything, still frowning. Earthly Sovereign laughed and looked at Fong Ping. Suddenly, he smiled playfully. "Fong Ping, let me tell you a secret." "What?" Fong Ping asked, frowning. The realm has been invading the human world." "I did it." Fong Ping frowned again. Earthly Sovereign laughed. "On you, my son, of course, will say whatever I tell him to say. The seed of rebirth is in the human world. So kill. Does it feel good to destroy the human world?" Fong Ping's face was gloomy, but he did not speak. Li Zhu led the Heavenly Plant's royal court and has been invading the human world. "Does it feel good?" Fong Ping said nothing. Some people say that it's good as long as the 3 realms are at peace." The Emperor of Earth snorted as if he was disdainful. "But I understand that only chaotic times can produce ruthless and strong people. Otherwise, if the 3 realms were at peace, would Fong Ping and Zhang Tao be as strong as they are today? If there's no pressure, there's no motivation. We should have wiped out most of the human race and let you struggle again. Perhaps the effect will be better." Zhang Tao's face turned green as he said coldly, "What's the point of all this?" "Meaning?" The Earthly Sovereign said with a smile. "What's the point? It's a pity that this fellow, creation, actually didn't die. Truthfully speaking, I'm prepared to annihilate creation, annihilate the fragrance of books, annihilate the heavenly hound, and even annihilate the azure cat." Everyone's expressions changed slightly. "What a pity, it's a bad start." The Emperor of Earth frowned and said, "It's all because of this disappointing kid." Bang. The Earthly Sovereign slap made Li Zhu stagger, and the back of his head bulged. At this moment, even if everyone was furious, they couldn't help but be stunned, and they even wanted to laugh. Li Zhu was extremely sinister. He was always calm in the face of difficulties, but today he was slapped by the Earthly Sovereign, and the back of his head bulged as if he was slapping his own son. No, he was slapping his own son. The Earthly Sovereign was slapping his own son. Li Zhu's expression changed, and it was extremely complicated. Li Zhu didn't say a word, letting the Earthly Sovereign slap him until he was dizzy. The Earthly Sovereign slapped Li Zhu, then looked at Fong Ping and the others, and said with a smile, "I think people will only break out when they are in a desperate situation. Only by killing your companions can you become stronger, and it will be more fun, but I didn't expect that I wouldn't succeed. What a pity." The Heavenly King raised his eyebrows and said, "Old Hong, what are you trying to say?" The Earthly Sovereign glanced at him and said grumpily, "You don't have the right to speak. Go away. Tell your master to come and look at you. It's been tens of thousands of years, and you think you can defeat me? You want to fight for the second place? I thought you were good back then, but But now, you're really useless. The Heavenly King's expression changed. He was called useless. Fong Ping exhaled and said in a low voice, "You've said so much. Are you done?" "Not yet." The earthly sovereign laughed and said, "Fong Ping, some people say that you are a genius, a monster, very domineering, very powerful. Some even compare you with me. Do you think you have the right to say that?" Fong Ping narrowed his eyes. "Do you want to try?" "Yeah, I really want to try." The earthly sovereign laughed and said, "Today, I brought my whole family here, and I'm ready to try. One sect for emperors. Do you want to fight?" The earthly sovereign laughed and said, "You don't dare?" Hong Kuan sect has killed a lot of humans. The Heavenly Plant's royal court led by Li Zhu has killed even more humans. The new Heavenly Court led by Hong Yu and the earthly Emperor God dynasty have killed even more humans. Zhang Tao was furious. This was the truth, especially when Li Zhu led the Heavenly Plant's royal court. A war that lasted for hundreds of years broke out between the two sides, and too many people died. Hong Kuan's evil sect and the new heavenly court that was established later had brought many casualties to the human race. Whether the earthly sovereign was deliberately provoking them or not, this was the truth, the bloody truth. The hands of this family were stained with the blood of the human race. The earthly sovereign, however, did not care. At this moment, he looked back at his sons and said with a smile, "My son, do you dare to fight with them? Couldn't you fight Tengu? Don't you two have a grudge against each other? Today, take revenge. Li Zhu, you fight Zhao. This old thing actually wanted to kill you just now. You play with that cat. I'll handle the rest." The earthly sovereign seemed a little excited. He said with a smile, "Jin Fongping, Zhang Tao, oh, and Xu Xiang. How about the four of you play with me?" He wanted to provoke a fight, initiating a fight, 1 against 4. At this moment, even the East Emperor and Emperor Ren Huang were a little solemn. Hong was a little strange today. What was he trying to do? At this moment, the Celestial Emperor's voice sounded again. "The fight is time to end." The earthly sovereign raised his head, looked at the sky, and sneered. "Is this your playground? You want it to end?" Fong Ping, this kid, insisted on breaking through the fifth heaven. "My family and they are absolutely irreconcilable. Take this opportunity to fight. Are you not convinced?" The Celestial Emperor's voice was much colder. "Hong, after so many years, you still haven't restrained yourself." "Restrained?" The earthly sovereign laughed. "I've restrained myself a lot. If it was in the past, I would go directly to the core of the source and smash your mouth." "What are you talking about? Come out if you have the guts. If you don't have the guts, come out and talk to me. Are you going to bite me?" Very arrogant. Insufferably arrogant. On the opposite, Fong Ping suddenly laughed. "Hong, I really want to see you from 10,000 years ago. Unfortunately, there's no chance." "No, you can also see today. Do you want to see?" Fong Ping felt the pressure. He really felt the pressure. "Do you want to see?" "Yes." "Will I die?" "Maybe." He looked at the earthly sovereign, and the earthly sovereign was also looking at him. There was a smile on his old face, a smile that was not very serious. This was the enemy, the great enemy of the human race. The disaster of the human race was actually caused by the earthly sovereign's family. Maybe not all of them, but this family was the leader of it. But for a moment, Fong Ping felt that if the earthly sovereign knew him 10,000 years ago, they might become comrades and friends, instead of becoming enemies now. "How, gee? Both of you leave. This is our war. Get lost." The earthly sovereign suddenly became a little impatient. He looked at the two people and asked them to leave. The two people looked dignified. At this time, the earthly sovereign's body was gradually growing taller. His somewhat stooped and thin body was gradually filling up. His old face was also recovering its youth. Vaguely, there were some shadows of the past. Very handsome. Hong Kuan and the others were very handsome. As their father, the earthly sovereign obviously would not be bad. At this moment, he was gradually recovering his youth. Domineering. Fong Ping and the others seemed to be dazzled. They saw an ancient emperor walking toward them. The earthly sovereign wore a golden crown, a golden yellow robe, and 9 dragon boots on his feet. In his hand, a long sword appeared, the earthly sovereign sword. Fong Ping. The voice was no longer old. The earthly sovereign's voice was deep. He said lightly, "Do you want to try? If you don't want to, you can get lost now." Boom! Vitality erupted. The void was torn apart. In the rear, Emperor Dong Huang and Emperor Ren Huang were shaken back a little. In front of the two of them, a black crack appeared. "I told you to get lost. Why don't you get lost? Do you want me to do it myself?" The earthly sovereign did not turn his head. His tone was overbearing, as if these two powerhouses with more than 100 million combat power were just ordinary people. Emperor Dong Huang and Emperor Ren Huang both frowned and weighed the pros and cons. Soon, the two gradually retreated. On the other side, Qin Fengqing saw this, smiled, and also began to retreat. The earthly sovereign's family was a little abnormal today. Since Li Zhu ambushed and killed the god-crafting envoy, it was a little abnormal. And the feeling that the earthly sovereign gave them was that he had been looking forward to this battle for a long time. The heavenly king and the others looked at Fong Ping. Fight? The earthly sovereign was very strong. At this moment, the earthly sovereign gave them a feeling that even a few weaker emperors were suffocating. Even the heavenly king felt an incomparably huge pressure. And King Wu also looked dignified. 1 against 4, this was the earthly sovereign's choice. Fong Ping took a deep look at the earthly sovereign and grinned. "It seems that you can't wait. I hope you can surprise me a little. Bullying noobs, that's too boring." The earthly sovereign smiled faintly. "I want to see who is wrong." Who was wrong? Words that had a profound meaning. Fong Ping was not an indecisive person. At this moment, he smiled and said, "Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Senior God Crafting Envoy, kill Li Zhu, Heavenly Hound, swallow Hong Kuan, Cat, you go, and entangle Hong Yu." He followed the battle plan of the earthly sovereign, and the rest of the people besieged the earthly sovereign. At this moment, even the unruly Heavenly Hound felt the pressure and seriousness. It did not refute but stared at Hong Kuan, its eyes flashing fiercely. It had a great grudge against Hong Kuan. Hong Kuan trapped it for 3,000 years, studied it like a specimen, and almost deprived it of its Tao. It had wanted to deal with Hong Kuan for a long time. Today, there was a chance. The god-crafting envoy did not talk nonsense. He looked at Li Zhu and grinned sinisterly. "You just escaped, and now you still want to escape? Since there is a decision," the earthly sovereign chuckled. The next moment, he stepped into the void, and with a boom, the void shattered. The 6th heaven. He, Fong Ping, and the others fell into the 6th heaven in an instant. In the sky, the other 6 emperors broke out in an instant. Boom! 6 virtual shadows shone between heaven and earth. The moment the earthly sovereign took Fong Ping and the others away, everyone knew that the battle had begun. The earthly sovereign gave them a chance and time. They were all a group of powerhouses who had just proven their Tao, so the difference in strength would not be too big. The 6 of them, except for Cat, were considered weak emperors. As for Tsang Mao, it was not a killing machine. Therefore, these 3 battles were evenly matched. More than 8,000 years, in the 6th heaven, the earthly sovereign no longer cared about the battle above. He looked at the people opposite him and said with a smile, "I have waited for you for more than 8,000 years. You, don't let me down." Boom! The heaven-suppressing king was the first to explode, punching out. Fong Ping, Zhang Tao, and Xu Xiang attacked almost at the same time. Too weak. The earthly sovereign's eyes were as sharp as a knife. He said softly, "Weak people like you are not qualified to change the 3 realms. Why don't you just die in my hands?" Weak? Yes, weak. Fast. Unparalleled speed. Xu Xiang did not even see it clearly. A knife fell. Crack. With a crisp sound, the ruler in her hand was smashed away. In the next moment, the knife swept past, and Xu Xiang's head fell off, separated from her body. Puff! The earthly sovereign's knife came again, about to cut Xu Xiang's head. At this moment, a book appeared in front of Shu Xiang, the Book of Great Tao. Boom! The Book of Great Tao trapped North Emperor before. North Emperor tried his best, but could not break it. But this knife slashed the Book of Great Tao into pieces with a bang. Powerful! This was the earthly sovereign. Fong Ping's knife was fast, but not as fast as the earthly sovereign. The earthly sovereign almost crippled Shu Xiang in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Fong Ping's long knife fell. The earthly sovereign did not withdraw his knife, but raised his hand and punched Fong Ping. Boom! A loud noise was heard. Fong Ping retreated, and the long knife trembled, making a metallic sound. That's it? You still want to hide your strength from me? The earthly sovereign's eyes were cold. You can deal with Ji Xiang, but you dare to hide your strength against me. Do you really think I'm that useless? Boom! Before Fong Ping could say anything, the earthly sovereign punched again. The entire sixth heaven was trembling and shaking. Kills! Fong Ping did not dare to hide his strength. At this moment, he also went all out. With a slash, the shadow of the knife covered the three realms. At this moment, above the firmament of the three realms, a long knife seemed to be tearing the three realms apart, descending from the source. Trembling. At this moment, the martial artists of the three realms, no matter how strong, felt a little trembling. Too strong, as if they would be torn to pieces by the long knife in the next moment. Not enough. A mocking laugh came. Boom! A fist directly smashed the shadow of the knife. The earthly sovereign was terrifyingly powerful at this moment. His left hand formed a palm, slapping toward the suppressing heavenly king, and his right hand formed a fist, bombarding Fong Ping. The earthly sovereign's knife was controlled by mentality, and each slash was killing Shu Xiang. The martial king had to rush over to help. Shu Xiang, who was still considered strong, was in a precarious situation now, as if he could be killed at any time. This was the earthly sovereign, one of the overlords of the world in the past, a peerless powerhouse who dared to fight the emperors of the three realms. In the fifth heaven, 6 powerhouses fought. However, the movement was far less intense and shocking than the battle between the 5 powerhouses below. That day, the divine emperor fought 1 against 9, including the earthly sovereign. However, the earthly sovereign of that day and the earthly sovereign of today were completely different. Even though Fong Ping had unleashed his powerful strength, he was still completely suppressed at this moment. The earthly sovereign only had 1 fist, but this fist was harder and fiercer than a divine weapon. Punch after punch, Fong Ping was almost out of breath. On the other side, the suppressing heavenly king used his fist to attack the palm, but the earthly sovereign's single palm suppressed him to the point where he could not even lift his head. The suppressing heavenly king was also extremely shocked. After being shocked, he shouted angrily, "Are you looking down on me?" With an angry roar, the suppressing heavenly king's body suddenly grew. 10 meters, 100 meters, 1,000 meters, 10,000 meters, giant. The suppressing heavenly king roared, and the source energy from all directions quickly gathered toward him. Unity, unification. I am the king of the 3 realms. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled, and the third heaven was also shaking violently. At this moment, endless power surged from the third heaven and quickly poured into his body. The suppressing heavenly king's aura flourished. Almost in the blink of an eye, the surging vitality even vaguely caught up with Fong Ping. The earthly sovereign was indifferent. This is the 2-body unity? Unfortunately, it's still too weak. As soon as he finished speaking, a punch blasted Fong Ping into the void. He turned sideways and punched at the suppressing heavenly king. The fist smashed out, and the other hand was so fast that the suppressing heavenly king had no time to dodge. Puff! The powerful body was like tofu, and the earthly sovereign's left hand turned into a claw, piercing directly into the flesh. With a puff, a large piece of flesh was clawed by the earthly sovereign, revealing the white jade bones. The fist followed, bombarding the exposed bones. The suppressing heavenly king also swung his fist down. One fist was as big as a star, and the other was just a normal person's fist. However, at this moment, the earthly sovereign punched out and collided with the giant fist. Boom! Flesh and blood flew everywhere. The suppressing heavenly king's huge body kept retreating. The flesh and blood on his fist were already gone, and cracks appeared on the huge bones of his hand. As for the earthly sovereign, he took a few steps back, ignored him, turned around, and punched again. Behind him, Fong Ping was like a ghost, and the Changdao was already close to his neck. Bang! The Changdao trembled violently, and a bloody mark appeared on the earthly sovereign's fist. Facing the strong attacks of two powerhouses with combat power over 100 million consecutively, he was also injured. Even so, the earthly sovereign was still incomparably strong. Moving quickly, he leaped up, broke through the void, and approached Fong Ping in the blink of an eye. Don't you like close combat? I'll fulfill your wish. Boom! There was only a roar between heaven and earth. Fong Ping's Changdao turned into a boxing glove, and his fists and feet moved at the same time, exchanging thousands of blows with the earthly sovereign in the blink of an eye. Bang! With a loud bang, Fong Ping flew backward, smashing through layers of the void, blood spilling from his mouth. A huge fish shadow appeared on his chest, and his body was broken into countless wounds. The earthly sovereign blasted Fong Ping away, and the suppressing heavenly king compressed his body and attacked again. At the same time, a bamboo whip stabbed at the earthly sovereign, and at this moment, Shu Xiang cooperated with the big Dao book and entangled the earthly sovereign's saber with difficulty. Her body was already dripping with blood. Zhang Tao's face was also a little pale. Too strong. 120 million? More like 150 million. The earthly sovereign was stronger than they had expected, even close to Emperor Dongwang. The suppressing heavenly king's two bodies had completely merged, and his combat power was equal to Fong Ping's. Two top powerhouses, together with Zhang Tao, a powerhouse whose combat power had soared to nearly 100 million through Renwang Path, and Shu Xiang, were still suppressed. 1 against 4, it was not the earthly sovereign who was at a disadvantage, but them. Shu Xiang could be killed on the spot at any time. And the martial king, whose combat power was close to 100 million, could only play a supporting role, and could not even or dare not to fight in close combat with the earthly sovereign. Only Fong Ping and the suppressing heavenly king could fight in close combat, and would not be killed by the earthly sovereign. 36 levels of heaven. The God Emperor and Do both came out this time, no longer playing chess, no longer drinking tea. Both of them looked at the projections between heaven and earth with solemn expressions. Hong was stronger than before. Not only Hong, but Fong Ping and the suppressing heavenly king were also very strong. And Zhang Tao was also unexpectedly strong, but they were not as shocked as Hong. 8,000 years was not a long time. As for Hong, he had grown to such an extent. The Emperor of Heaven Reverse stared at the projection of the earthly sovereign in the sky, overbearing and cold as always. After a while, he asked in a low voice, "Should we stop them?" The God Emperor watched for a while and said coldly, "Stop them? Can you stop them? Whoever stops them will be their enemy." This was the choice of the earthly sovereign and Fong Ping. Or, this was the battlefield between the human world and the catacombs. All the grudges would come to an end today. Who would stop them? The Emperor of Heaven Reverse said no more. The look in his eyes was complicated. "Hong, you are still the same?" The 11th heaven. Emperor Dongwang and the Emperor of Heaven looked at each other. The Emperor of Heaven was bitter. "I am not as good as him." There was no doubt that he was no match for the earthly sovereign. The earthly sovereign was so powerful that even he was shocked. Fong Ping and the suppressing heavenly king were powerful as well, but not enough to frighten him. The earthly sovereign, on the other hand, did frighten him. If they fought one-on-one, he might be killed. Emperor Dongwang was also watching. After a while, he murmured, "Too bad, it is not enough." Not strong enough? The Emperor of Heaven Reverse speculated. Was it because he was not strong enough to defeat the God Emperor? But those few were all ancient beginner martial artists, the first batch of martial artists in the world. Hong was not one of them. When he was born, Those ancient beginner martial artists were already powerful. Kill. At this moment, Fong Ping and the others had no time to care about what the others were thinking. They could only fight and kill. The earthly sovereign was too powerful. Even when the four of them joined hands, they were still suppressed by him. Boom! The earthly sovereign's long hair was dancing. At this moment, he looked like a demon. His palm was like a knife. He chopped off the King Wu's arm. Then, he turned around and punched the suppressing Heavenly King's shoulder. Fong Ping wielded his saber and finally succeeded. With a puff, the flesh and blood of the earthly sovereign's arm were cut off. Clang! The saber was stuck on the jade-like bone. Fong Ping abandoned the saber and stepped back. However, the earthly sovereign sneered and kicked out. The void exploded and huge cracks appeared. These gigantic fissures surrounded Fong Ping directly, and the sound of slicing could be heard incessantly. This was not a space crack, but a crack of the origin of this place. This place was originally the place where the Beast King proved his Tao. The Tao fruit was broken, and the cracks had been suppressed by the Celestial Emperor. But now, the cracks reappeared. This was a crack that could even swallow the Emperor. Even if Fong Ping's body was extremely strong, he was cut into a bloody man at this moment. Weak! The earthly sovereign despised him. His voice was still so cold. Weak! Fong Ping was covered in blood. He chuckled. With a bang, the cracks spread everywhere. Once again, he held the long saber in his hand and rushed toward the earthly sovereign. He said with a smile, "I have cultivated martial arts for 3 years. I don't want to hurt you. You are weaker than me." 3 years of cultivation? The earthly sovereign said coldly, "In life and death, only the strong and the weak matter. Who cares how long you have cultivated? Stupid. Ridiculous. When I was cultivating, Sky and the others had already become the overlords of the world. Should I blame them for cultivating longer than me? What a joke." The earthly sovereign was disdainful. Fong Ping also grinned and said, "It makes sense. But you're really not cute. Not as cute as Fong Yun. If you don't know how to talk, then talk less." Boom! Behind them, the Heavenly King bombarded the void with a punch. The earthly sovereign was surrounded by cracks. Fong Ping and Zhang Tao attacked at the same time. A saber and a whip attacked instantly, mixed with boundless blood chi. "It seems that you are still not as strong as I expected. Then I won't play with you anymore." At this time, the earthly sovereign was extremely calm. The moment his voice died away, the earthly sovereign suddenly disappeared. "Martial King? Huh!" As soon as the laughter died away, boom! A fist fell on the top of Zhang Tao's head. Zhang Tao's expression changed greatly. Fong Ping instantly turned his saber and attacked. "Defend!" With a roar, the Book of Big Truths appeared again. Boom! The Book of Big Truths was broken, and Zhang Tao's head was smashed directly. Bang! The earthly sovereign kicked out, directly kicking the rest of the body into pieces. Kill! Fong Ping's saber fell, and the Heavenly King also punched. The earthly sovereign disappeared again. Puff! Fong Ping's long saber slashed the air. The next moment, a huge force came from his arm. Bang! The earthly sovereign punched again, this time breaking Fong Ping's right arm. Fong Ping swung his left fist at the same time. With a bang, the flesh and blood of his left fist disappeared and exploded. The earthly sovereign also appeared, slightly staggered, a hole appearing in his arm. On the other side, the Heavenly King attacked very quickly. His feet shattered the void, and a kick sent the earthly sovereign flying. The earthly sovereign stomped the void and looked at Zhang Tao, who was quickly recovering his body. He smiled faintly and said, "So weak." Zhang Tao's body recovered, but his face was pale. His combat strength was close to 100 million, but at this moment, facing the earthly sovereign, his flesh was almost destroyed in the blink of an eye. If it were not for Fong Ping and the others, he might have been killed just now. The powerful earthly sovereign. Chapter 1466. Weak? Fong Ping snorted. "If you're weak, don't run." "Run?" Earthly sovereign also sneered. "You think I can run if I'm faster than you? Then I'll show you." Boom! In the blink of an eye, earthly sovereign shadows were everywhere. Fong Ping and the others were surrounded in the middle. Yes, surrounded. The four of them were surrounded by one person. Rumble. The sound of the collision was constantly heard. Fong Ping and Heavenly King were the main force. King Wu was the support, and Scholar was still fighting with the earthly sovereign sword. The three of them continued to fight, and their injuries increased. Earthly sovereign quickly dissipated those shadows and appeared not far away again. At this moment, earthly sovereign also had some injuries, but they were much lighter than the three of them. Earthly sovereign panted slightly and said with a smile, "I take back what I said before. Not too weak, just a little weak." Seal. Fong Ping was too lazy to talk anymore. With a low roar, Old Zhang's Book of Tao appeared again and instantly covered Earthly Sovereign. Boom! Earthly Sovereign smashed the Book of Tao again, but this time, Old Zhang was also ruthless. In the blink of an eye, a big seal was integrated into it. Rumble! Earthly Sovereign bombarded again, this time more than 10 punches in a row, but he could not break the Book of Tao. Entangle him! Fong Ping roared again. Heavenly King roared, and his flesh shook the void. He was so powerful that he took the initiative to attack Earthly Sovereign and entangled him. Earthly Sovereign bombarded the Book of Tao while fighting against Heavenly King. Heavenly King kept retreating, but he refused to give up. He roared and kept entangling with Earthly Sovereign. Puff! Fong Ping's mentality erupted, shaking the void. His mentality was like a knife, instantly cutting Earthly Sovereign a little dizzy. When the origin power was dispersed, it would be spiritual power and vitality power. Fong Ping's mentality was not weak. It was a full 400,000 hertz. For any emperor, 400,000 hertz mentality was not low. 400,000 hertz was equivalent to 40 million calories vitality, which was the standard for mentality powerhouses like Heaven Extermination in the past. Most of the other emperors were strong in their flesh and vitality. Their mentality was not weak either, and they had completed a qualitative change. But 400,000 hertz, not everyone among the emperors was like this. Earthly Sovereign's mentality was not weak either. In the face of Fong Ping's mentality attack, he also quickly used his mentality to resist, but when the two collided, Earthly Sovereign could only barely block it. Obviously, his spiritual energy was not very strong. His strength lay in his blood qi and his physical body. Fong Ping's strength control was extremely strong. A moment ago, it was mentality outburst. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a force outburst. The Changdao slashed out. With a rumble, the Earthly Sovereign retreated. The Book of Great Tao bombarded. The Earthly Emperor was a little surprised and said with a smile, "Interesting, the three of you have found a tacit understanding." Previously, the three of them fought separately. Although it could be considered a siege, most of the time, the Earthly Sovereign only needed to face one person. But now, the three of them had a stronger tacit understanding. When facing one person, the Earthly Sovereign still had an absolute advantage. But when facing three people attacking and defending at the same time, he found it a little difficult. "Then I'll play with you guys." With a loud bang, the Earthly Sovereign sword appeared in the hand of the Earthly Sovereign. He was no longer empty-handed. With the long sword in his hand, he stabbed out. Boom! At this moment, the three of them had a greater tacit understanding. The Heavenly Gong, or the Sun God's heart protection mirror, appeared in the hand of the Heavenly King. In an instant, it blocked in front of Old Zhang. With a bang, there was a harsh sound of metal colliding. On the other side, the Earthly Sovereign tilted his head slightly. A long saber slashed at him silently. The Earthly Sovereign tilted his head to avoid it, and the long saber slammed down fiercely. The Earthly Sovereign's long hair, like thousands of swords, all shot out with a puff, and the sound of clanging was endless. Boom! The sound of the explosion rang again. A blood mark appeared on the ear of the Earthly Sovereign, and a lot of his hair was broken. But he was still laughing happily, and the long sword was extremely fast. It was hard to imagine that this domineering emperor used a sword like an assassin. His control of power was obviously also very strong. Without the slightest energy fluctuation, he stabbed his sword again and again, stabbing at old Zhang, the weakest point of the three people. Old Zhang also looked solemn. He was now the weakest point. Even if Fong Ping and the Heavenly King were no match for the earthly sovereign, it would be very difficult for the earthly sovereign to kill them quickly. But the Heavenly King's combat power was less than 100 million, and there was still a big gap between them. Not only did the earthly sovereign's combat power exceed 100 million, but he was also a powerhouse who exceeded 100 million. While suppressing Fong Ping and the others, he could also find a chance to kill Zhang Tao. This was the problem. Old Zhang's expression changed for a while. The next moment, he gave up attacking and shouted, "Fong Ping!" Fong Ping looked at him. Seeing his solemn face, Fong Ping did not talk nonsense. He shouted in a low voice and rushed toward Zhang Tao instantly. Zhang Tao was like liquid, quickly merging into Fong Ping's body. Fong Ping's vitality soared. Taking advantage of the moment when the Heavenly King and the earthly sovereign were entangled, the long saber was 3 times faster and 3 times stronger than before. With a bang, the long saber slashed out. This time, the earthly sovereign was not the same as before. He just retreated a little. With a loud bang, the earthly sovereign habitually swung his fist to block. As a result, the flesh on his fist exploded, revealing the earthly sovereign's almost transparent hand bones. The earthly sovereign's body shook slightly. The Heavenly King saw the opportunity, roared, and blasted out a punch. With a bang, a clear fist mark appeared on the earthly sovereign's chest. Fong Ping was merciless. He waved the long saber, and in the blink of an eye, there were only saber shadows left between heaven and earth. The earthly sovereign also reacted quickly. With a cold snort, he held his sword and counterattacked. Insignificant skill. Fusion? Let's see how long you can last. Until it's time to kill you. Fong Ping was also not at a disadvantage in words. He could continue to fuse if the power of the 3 emperors in the system had not been used up. Now that he was fusing with old Zhang, he could feel the power of the system flowing away. However, at the same time, Fong Ping's combat strength also soared. Clang! The saber and sword clashed. At this time, Fong Ping did not show any obvious signs of being defeated. With the help of the Heavenly King, he was also on par with the earthly sovereign. Both of them took a step back. Seeing this, the Heavenly King shouted, "Do you still want to fuse?" Fong Ping did not say a word. He did not choose to fuse. It was fine if old Zhang did not exceed 100 million, but the Heavenly King's current combat strength had exceeded 100 million. Fong Ping could imagine how much power would be consumed if he fused. Would the system have enough energy? He did not want to be unable to defeat the earthly sovereign in a short time and lose all 3 of them. "You take the front, I'll take the back, kill." Fong Ping shouted and quickly attacked. On the other side, Xu Xiang did not delay any longer. Seeing that she was about to break through heaven and earth and go to the 5th heaven to help the others, the earthly sovereign suddenly roared, his voice shaking heaven and earth. Boom! The sound was like thunder. This roar was mixed with a large amount of vitality and mentality, causing Xu Xiang to feel dizzy. "I said you are mine, and you still want to leave?" In the 5th heaven, the sound of 6 powerhouses fighting shook the sky, but they were considered evenly matched. That guy, Old Cat, was much stronger than Hong Yu, but this cat did not choose to kill. Instead, it kept pestering Hong Yu, not letting him participate in the other's battle. As a result, Li Zhu and the God Creation Envoy, Hong Kun and the Heavenly Dog fought. The God Creation Envoy suppressed Li Zhu, but Hong Kun suppressed the Heavenly Dog. Neither side had much of an advantage. Even if they were to determine the winner, it would be difficult to break the balance. The ones who could really break the balance were still Fong Ping and the others. The battle between Fong Ping and the others and the earthly sovereign became more and more fierce and tragic. It was unknown how many times they exchanged blows. With a bang, Fong Ping flew backward again, his chest pierced. But this time, the earthly sovereign did not gain an advantage. At the same time that Fong Ping's chest was pierced, the Heavenly King attacked, attracting most of his attention. As for Zhang Tao, he broke away from Fong Ping's body in an instant. The bamboo whip turned into a sword and stabbed out, piercing the earthly sovereign's throat, blood gushing out. The earthly sovereign turned his head and punched out, sending old Zhang flying. On the other side, in the blink of an eye, Fong Ping merged with old Zhang again and continued to fight, fighting with the earthly sovereign. At this time, the sixth heaven was almost completely destroyed. The group had even fought to the seventh heaven, where Emperor Nan's original birthplace was now full of cracks. In the Source Land, there were many broken worlds today. However, when these people had just fought to the seventh heaven, there was a force coming out of the sixth heaven, continuing to suppress the sixth heaven. Obviously, although the Heavenly Emperor did not intervene, he did not let these people break the Source Land. He was constantly suppressing these places. Old man, can you still hold on? The battle lasted for more than 10 minutes. Fong Ping was now riddled with holes, but the Heavenly King over there seemed to be a little more miserable. The Heavenly King coughed up blood, but he was full of energy. He scolded, "You can do it, but I can't. Drag it out with him. Kill him. Kid, continue to kill him." On the other side, the earthly sovereign was no longer as majestic and domineering as when he first appeared. The crown was long gone, his golden robe was also tattered, and the combat boots on his feet were completely shattered. At this time, he was barefoot, like an old farmer in the countryside. However, the earthly sovereign was still in good shape. He looked at the two of them and sneered. "Drag me out? Do you think I'm like those good-for-nothings? In terms of patience and endurance, can you compare to me?" Fong Ping grinned and said, "Of course, the earthly sovereign is old and cunning, old and demonic, old and unbearable, sharp-tongued." "Sharp-tongued?" Fong Ping sneered and said, "Accept your fate when you're old." As soon as the words fell, Fong Ping was as fast as light and shadow. He flashed in an instant and slashed with his Changdao. The earthly sovereign also stabbed with his sword. The two sides had fought many times before, and Fong Ping was always at a disadvantage. However, this time, Fong Ping did not make a sound, letting the sword penetrate his flesh, and slashed with his saber, breaking the bones of the earthly sovereign's hand. The earthly sovereign frowned slightly. "Courting death." "Courting death?" Fong Ping grinned. "I said, you're old, and I'm still young." Did he really think that getting injured in a battle would not consume anything? It consumed a lot. Vitality, mentality, vitality. A powerhouse's long life depended on their strong vitality. However, with the continuous loss of vitality, they would age. Fong Ping could not care less now. Then he would drag it out to see who was more seriously injured and lost more vitality. He was young. Although the earthly sovereign was not too old among the emperors, he was more than 30,000 years old. Even if the emperor's lifespan was close to 100,000 years, the earthly sovereign was now a middle-aged man. Moreover, this old guy had participated in many battles before. Over the years, his vitality had been lost much more than Fong Ping's. The earthly sovereign frowned. His palm turned into a claw and instantly grabbed. Fong Ping also reached out and grabbed. At the same time, at his chest, old Zhang flashed in an instant, holding a dagger, and stabbed. On the other side, the Heavenly King was just about to attack when Fong Ping roared. "Force outburst, about 2,000 original. Can you do it?" "Nonsense." The Heavenly King's force outburst in the blink of an eye. As a powerhouse like them, they could fuse into force, but they could not convert it completely. 2,000 original force was only equivalent to 40 million calories vitality. For them, such conversion was worse than not converting. However, since Fong Ping said it, the Heavenly King did not talk nonsense and quickly converted the force outburst. As soon as the force outburst, Fong Ping also took a step back and quickly condensed the force. In the blink of an eye, a huge force cluster appeared, and the Heavenly King instantly understood, manipulating the force in a Fong Ping's force cluster. This was Dongwon's combat technique, or a joint attack combat technique. At this time, Fong Ping still chose to use the joint attack combat technique. He did not use it before because the earthly sovereign was at his peak, and it was easy to interrupt the two's joint attack, which was more troublesome. The force cluster turned into the shape of a saber and merged into the chaos-vanquishing saber in the blink of an eye. This saber was stronger than before. The Heavenly King seemed to have become a force supply machine, constantly providing Fong Ping with force. Seeing this, the earthly sovereign snorted coldly. "If it's not mine, then it's not mine." Before he finished speaking, Fong Ping's long saber exuded a strong aura of destruction, and the saber slashed out quickly. Just like before, he did not dodge or evade, exchanging blows with the earthly sovereign. This time, the earthly sovereign was not happy. It was not worth it to continue exchanging blows. The earthly sovereign retreated, and Fong Ping did not let him go. He chased after him with the saber and continued to fight, provoking. "Why are you scared? Weren't you domineering before?" The earthly sovereign sneered. "You." As soon as he said that, the earthly sovereign turned around and punched Xu Xiang, who had just approached, and her flesh exploded. The broken flesh flew tens of thousands of meters away, and Fong Ping also took the opportunity to slash out with his saber. With a puff this time, he finally achieved something. A huge crack appeared on the earthly sovereign's shoulder, and blood sprayed out. The earthly sovereign did not have time to recover, and Fong Ping had already attacked again. Xu Xiang's sneak attack did not succeed, but it did restrain the earthly sovereign. As for the severity of Xu Xiang's injury, at this time, both sides did not have time to care. "With just these, it's not enough." The earthly sovereign snorted coldly. This was still not enough. Fong Ping's expression kept changing. It was not enough. If this went on, he could fight with the earthly sovereign until both sides were injured, but to say that he could kill the earthly sovereign, it was still not enough. In front of a group of powerhouses, it was not a good idea to fight until both sides were injured. Initially, he thought that the earthly sovereign and the emperor would be easier to kill. But now, Fong Ping felt that even if the earthly sovereign was not as good as Dong Wang, he was probably close. The emperor was the weakest. Was Dong Wang stronger than the earthly sovereign? Fong Ping did not really fight with Dong Wang, and now he could not tell, but he felt that even if he was stronger than the earthly sovereign, there was a limit. If he was stronger, Dong Wang could probably fight with the emperor god and the others. After both sides fought for a while, the earthly sovereign panted and sneered. "Your endurance is not enough. As long as the source ground is not destroyed, our source energy will not be destroyed, but it seems that you can't." It was not possible. Fong Ping's origin was sealed. Unable to absorb energy from the source ground, he could only rely on himself to absorb. It was fine in the past, with the system providing it. Fong Ping did not need to last too long to deal with the enemy, and there would not be a situation where his energy was exhausted. Today, however, Fong Ping gradually felt the consumption of energy. If this went on, not to mention whether or not he could exhaust the earthly sovereign to death, his source energy was not enough. Although Fong Ping did not rely on source energy to convert combat strength, he did not have the origin to increase, but if this went on in the source world, a part of it would collapse. Of course, a large amount of origin soil could help Fong Ping barely maintain it. Do you think this is the second source ground? What a joke! Self-formed energy system? Do you have a lot of energy hoarding? This is not even comparable to the source ground. At least the source ground has a large amount of seed energy left in the past. Your second source ground is just a decoration. The earthly sovereign obviously knew something, but he did not care about Fong Ping's source world. While fighting, he attacked. "You are afraid of being trapped in the source ground, not daring to prove your Tao. This is the real idiot. If I were you, I would prove my Tao in the source ground today. I might have a chance to fight with me." "Prove my Tao?" Fong Ping frowned. The earthly sovereign laughed and said, "Prove your Tao. Find a place where no one can prove their Tao. Take root in your source world and absorb energy. Then you can prove your Tao. You don't have to break the 3 gates, because your Tao is still a little different." Absorb energy in the source ground? Fong Ping was slightly shocked. At this time, the earthly sovereign's eyes moved. Taking advantage of the shock in Fong Ping's mind, he stabbed out with his sword. With a puff, Fong Ping's throat was pierced, but a mouthful of blood turned into a blood arrow, shooting at the earthly sovereign. The earthly sovereign's vitality erupted, shattering the blood arrow. But there was no second chance. At this moment, the earthly sovereign laughed again and said, "Take root in the source ground, absorb energy. What are you afraid of? It's not really impossible to escape. After absorbing energy, seal the source ground. Learn from the sun god, steal energy. As long as you run fast, the source ground can't catch you." What did it mean? Fong Ping's heart moved again. As long as I run fast, the source ground can't catch me, can't catch. Dao fruit? After taking root, would it be impossible to catch without condensing Dao fruit? Dao fruit was the trump card to trap other emperors. Puff! Fong Ping's shoulder was pierced again, and the heavenly king quickly pulled Fong Ping back from behind, shouting, "Don't be distracted. He's deliberately disturbing your mind." Fong Ping's eyes flickered, not necessarily on purpose. Steal the source ground's energy. How could he steal it? Put his own source world into the source ground? No, maybe he still had to open a gap, absorb the source ground's energy, strengthen the source ground, and then seal it? Seal the source world to avoid the condensation of Dao fruit? Was it feasible? Fong Ping was not sure. This was what the earthly sovereign said, and the earthly sovereign was the enemy, but maybe he could try. The earthly sovereign was right about one thing. His source world did not have a source of energy. Although it was a self-formed world, it had not yet formed a system. Steal energy. Learn from the sun god. Fong Ping's eyes flickered, and the next moment, suddenly, a ball fell, the brain nucleus. The earthly sovereign also saw it, laughed, and with a playful look, in the blink of an eye, he attacked Fong Ping. This time, the earthly sovereign continued to attack. Even if Fong Ping and the heavenly king joined forces, they were still defeated. The brain nucleus, however, quickly fell into the eighth heaven. Someone had taken root in the eighth heaven, Emperor West. Fong Ping did not care, continued to fall. A moment later, entered the ninth heaven that was previously destroyed. Now, the suppression of the heavenly emperor's power suppressed the ninth heaven. And Fong Ping's brain nucleus fell into the ninth heaven. There was no one here, and no one cared. Fong Ping, who was at the seventh heaven, was now thinking about a problem. If the hole in the brain nucleus was broken and could not be closed, his strength would be lost. At least the 20% strength bonus would be gone. Once he lost the strength bonus, he would be much weaker than before. And opposite, the earthly sovereign's eyes were burning, and his mentality fluctuated. Dare to try? Fong Ping stared at him, and the earthly sovereign grinned, laughing crazily. Dare to try? If you don't try, even if you are strong, can you rival me? Can you rival Hao? Can you rival Qiong? If you can't, you still want to rival Heavenly Emperor? Ridiculous. Sooner or later, you will die. Why not try? Do you think that after this, others will still give you a chance to grow? The earthly sovereign sneered. No. You can even fight with me. They will not give you another chance. And the immortal source is about to mature. You don't have time. Fong Ping gave him a deep look, and suddenly, the ninth heaven. The brain nucleus cracked. In the next moment, the source world and the source world were connected. At this moment, Fong Ping felt a large amount of source power pouring into his source world. Too much, too much. Rumble! The source world was expanding, but Fong Ping himself showed a decline in strength. The brain nucleus was no longer closed. The 100% strength bonus disappeared. Fong Ping's combat strength instantly dropped. However, soon it began to recover, because the source world was expanding. At the same time, the ninth heaven was shaking nonstop. The earthly sovereign looked at Fong Ping and laughed. Don't steal the power of one place, stupid. Don't you understand? Anyway, you don't want to condense the Dao fruit, then go to the eighth heaven, absorb the power of the eighth heaven, consume the repair power of Celestial, and the cracks appear again. Celestial has to come back again to suppress it. That will be interesting. Fong Ping was stunned. Really, he did not think of this problem. At this moment, the earthly sovereign actually encouraged him to absorb the power of the eighth heaven. Let the repair power after Emperor Nan's death be absorbed, and then forced Emperor Shi to return to the source ground to suppress it again. The ninth heaven was shaking. At this moment also attracted the attention of others. Fang Ping fought with the earthly sovereign while thinking about other things, and the earthly sovereign at this moment did not seem to be as strong as before. Fang Ping's expression changed for a while, and he gritted his teeth. The brain nucleus quickly separated from the ninth heaven. In the blink of an eye, entered the eighth heaven, and began to absorb the power. 3 realms, misery, West Palace. Emperor Shi's expression changed, and he gritted his teeth. Damn bastard! Who is stealing the power of the eighth heaven? Damn it! Who the hell would do such a wicked thing? That's not right. How do they steal it? Each heaven can only take root for one emperor. I'm not dead yet. The Tao fruit conflict, the other party can't take root. What the hell is going on? He felt that the cracks of the eighth heaven were about to appear. The power was lost. The suction came again. If he did not go back, this powerful suction would suck his Tao fruit and destroy it. Damn it! Who is it? I've only been out for a few days. Is it still a human? Is it Hong or Fang Ping and the others? Now, the seventh heaven was fighting. If one were to talk about stealing power, it was probably only these few people. Of course, it might be Heavenly Emperor. But now Emperor Shi was really mad. He finally got rid of the source, and he did not want to go back. In the end, it almost affected the eighth heaven, and now someone was absorbing the power of the eighth heaven. If this went on, he had no choice but to go back. Bastard! Bastard! There are so many uninhabited heavens, but they just have to steal from the eighth heaven. Do they still have any humanity? Emperor Shi stomped his feet in anger. No matter how angry he was, he could not stop it. At this moment, Emperor Shi struggled for a while, and then gritted his teeth. This source, he still had to go back. How pitiful! It was not easy to escape the cage, and in less than 3 months, he had to go back to prison. Forget about going to prison. There was still a war there. How dangerous it would be for him to go back. No one cared whether Emperor Shi stomped his feet or not. At this time, Fang Ping felt that his source world was much bigger, even expanding to 20,000 meters. When he felt that the eighth heaven suction was getting stronger, and his source world was also shaking, as if it was about to condense in a Tao fruit, Fang Ping hurriedly stopped absorbing energy. As for the crack on the brain, Fang Ping tried to repair it, and very soon, the crack was actually repaired. This made Fang Ping breathe a sigh of relief. At this moment, Fang Ping felt that his strength had been strengthened again. The source world had expanded to about 5,000 meters, and now it was at least 17,000 meters and above. His strength had also increased by a lot. As his strength increased, the earthly emperor opposite him erupted again. The earthly emperor laughed horribly and said faintly, "It seems like it's really working. It's a little interesting. You can continue to steal some more. Don't make too much noise." Fang Ping looked at him coldly and transmitted his voice. "What do you want to do?" Hee, what do I want to do? The earthly emperor's voice was cold. Didn't I say? Destroy the world. In this 3 realms, powerhouses are all prisoners, and so are the weak. Then what is the point of being a powerhouse? Destroy the world. Back then, I asked Jean to join forces with me to destroy the world, but he didn't agree. Ridiculous. He came up with a great Tao supplement source, suppressing the sea of bitterness with his flesh. How ridiculous. Prisoner? I fought in the 3 realms, killed my strength, fought for the throne, and actually made me a prisoner. If you want to make me a pawn, then you have to see if there is anyone who is qualified. In this 3 realms, is there anyone who is qualified? Not even a seed. Not anyone. Fang Ping frowned at him. But the earthly emperor's smile was chilling. That idiot John said that there is still hope, but I don't believe it. He said that he will think of a way, that if he dies, he can delay it for a few years. Maybe there will be a way. Ridiculous. I don't believe it. I escaped the cage of the source and wandered the 3 realms for 8,000 years, just to see where the hope he talked about is. I didn't expect it to be you. You are the hope? The earthly emperor sneered, contemptuous, disdainful, and quickly said again, "What kind of hope are you? I don't believe in the future he talked about, and I don't believe in the hope he talked about. But I believe you are the same as me, with unwillingness The desire to destroy the world. The desire to destroy indiscriminately. Haha, this is in line with my thoughts. Fong Ping said nothing. That's what I want. The earthly emperor said crazily. If I die, you all die. Die together. Don't think about it. I want to do that, but I'm not strong enough. You still have some hope. Not only have the hope to kill everyone in the three realms, but also have the hope to kill the seed. Fong Ping was shocked. The earthly emperor laughed coldly. You came from inside the seed. You are not a human. At least not a human in the three realms. Destroy the world. Destroy the three realms. Other people are the connection between the seed and the three realms. But you are not. You can destroy the world. Destroy the human race. Destroy the three realms, and the seed will become a waste. You kill it. Then whether you die or not, it has nothing to do with me. Anyway, I am not willing to be a puppet, a prisoner for the rest of my life. I'm not a human? Fong Ping murmured. The earthly emperor sneered. What kind of human are you? Even if you think you are not a human in the three realms, at least not a pure human in the three realms. So, in this world, the only one who can destroy the seed is you. Jean, you have chosen a good candidate. This idiot, I don't want to be the villain who destroys the world. I want you to do it. Since you have inherited his power, of course, you have to do it. Haha, this old man likes people like you. Evil, devil, vengeful. Very good. This is what I want. Otherwise, there will be another rotten scholar like Jean. Even if he has the power to destroy the world, he does not have the heart to destroy the world. You are too much in line with this old man's wishes. The earthly emperor laughed and said telepathically again, if you were an idiot like King Wu, a rotten scholar like Jean, and a waste like Jun, you would have died long ago. The day you were in the divine sect, you were dead. I like your character. You will take revenge, cut the weeds, and eliminate the roots. Not everyone in the divine sect kills human powerhouses. You went to the divine sect and almost destroyed the whole divine sect. Ha! You are too much in line with this old man's wishes. The earthly emperor laughed proudly and satisfactorily. That day he had recognized it because he was too familiar with the power of the three emperors. He was too familiar with the power of Jean. Kill all the people in the three realms, and then kill the seed, and you will succeed. I can't wait. The earthly emperor was a little crazy. Changed? The earthly emperor from 8,000 years ago became kind? What a joke. He was the emperor. He was the overlord. He was the rebellious earthly emperor. How could he change? More than 8,000 years ago, he wanted to destroy the world, but it was rejected by that idiot Jean. He was not reconciled, but it was useless. Without Jean's help, he could not do it. Today, there was hope. Chapter 1467. Fong Ping's expression changed. Emperor of Earth continued, I want to see you destroy the world. But I'm afraid I won't have the chance. At this moment, the earthly sovereign's eyes were burning. While bombarding Fong Ping, he said telepathically, this is my test for you. If you can satisfy me, I'll give you a big gift. If you can't pass, you'll die. Trash. You're not qualified for me to look at you differently. You want to kill Celestial Emperor? You want to kill Celestial Emperor? You want to kill Seed? If you want, kill me first. Show me what you've got. If you can do it, I will help you destroy the world. Fong Ping's eyes sparkled as he looked at him. Help me? How will you help me? Emperor of Earth seemed to understand him. He grinned. Do you really think I am not prepared? You have to be prepared to destroy the world. But I am imprisoned and limited. This is all I can do for the rest of my life. You have hope. Have hope. Ha ha. Fong Ping, kill me and let me see what you have got. Or else, you will die with me. Emperor of Earth sounded crazy, but he was very calm. At the moment, his combat strength was increasing. Even though Fong Ping's source world had expanded and his strength had been strengthened. But at the moment, he was still suppressed. This guy definitely had a combat strength of 150 million. Fong Ping said nothing and kept fighting with Emperor of Earth. Heavenly King Jun could not hear their conversation, but he sensed something was wrong. Emperor of Earth was not right today, and so was Fong Ping. What were they talking about? 36 levels of heaven. Emperor God stared at Emperor of Earth's shadow. without saying a word. He frowned and was lost in thought. Emperor of Heaven Reverse was also staring at the shadow. After a while, Emperor of Heaven Reverse whispered, "Interesting. He seems to be helping Fong Ping polish his strength on purpose. What is Hong trying to do?" Emperor God said nothing. Soon, he looked at the 5th level of heaven. That was the battlefield of others. Heaven, the celestial court, the celestial emperor after the heavenly realm was broken. Li Zhu, the emperor of the earthly realm, the path of earthly emperor. Kun, Emperor God murmured, "Kun, the path of Kun. Have you ever seen it?" Emperor of Heaven Reverse was shocked. "The path of energy." No, he. At this moment, Emperor of Heaven Reverse was in a trance. What was Hong Kun? The next second, the Emperor of Heaven Reverse Emperor's expression changed. He murmured, "Hong Kun. Hong Kun has studied the heavenly hound for 3,000 years and trapped the heaven wood for 8,000 years. Something is not right. Something is not right." Twice he failed. He gained nothing. Kahong has always been in the divine sect. The Emperor of Heaven Reverse Emperor murmured. His expressions changed. The divine emperor tilted his head to look at him and said slowly, "Let the heavenly wood prove its Tao and fuse it with the dragon transformation. Let's see if it can produce a demon Tao fruit." Emperor of Heaven Reverse's expressions changed. He was not in a hurry. He asked softly, "Sovereign of heaven, sovereign of earth, sovereign of Fey, and sovereign of humans, Hong, what is he doing?" At that moment, both he and Xiong had a vague idea. The two looked at each other, and the divine emperor said in a low voice, "The second origin ground." Emperor of Heaven Reverse was taken aback. He wants to seize the power of the origin land, and then the source of the source? Yes. The Emperor God took a deep breath and said with some difficulty, "The second source, Fong Ping, the 3 sovereigns of heaven, earth, and human, and the demon sovereign. The demon sovereign is not Hong Yu, but Hong Kun, the real demon sovereign. He has stolen the Tao of heavenly wood and heavenly hound." "No, the heavenly hound? Is he a monster?" The Emperor of Heaven Reverse murmured. "Is the heavenly hound a monster?" "Yes," the divine emperor said. "Maybe not the cat, but the heavenly hound is a monster. But the heavenly hound does not see itself as a monster, so it cannot win the hearts of the monsters. But Hong Kun, if he has stolen the heavenly hound's Tao and fused it with the Tao of heavenly wood, then he will be the demon sovereign." The Emperor of Heaven Reverse's expression changed again. At this moment, he understood everything. The sovereign of Earth had set up a big trap. He wanted to rebuild the origin land. But how could he know that Fong Ping would build the second origin land? It was not certain, unless he had it all figured out. Or it was inevitable. He and Jean have an agreement? The Emperor of Heaven Reverse whispered. He and Jean must have an agreement. Fong Ping is not a pawn of Jean alone. He and Jean set this up together. The two looked at each other. The divine emperor looked at him and exhaled. Fong Ping's second origin land is modeled after the cat. The cat has been in the land realm for many years. It met Fong Ping. A coincidence? The Emperor of Heaven Reverse forced a smile. Coincidence? Not a coincidence. How can it be a coincidence? Fong Ping has the energy of the 3 emperors. The cat must have noticed something. It is formed by the filth of the origin land. The passageway opened by the 3 emperors can release some filth. The cat must have felt something and felt that Fong Ping could give it a sense of security. The divine emperor nodded. Soon, he said in a low voice, "Fong Ping cut off his Tao and embarked on the path of the second origin land because he ran into danger at the Spirit King Dojo and was almost killed. He had to cut off his Tao." The Emperor of Heaven Reverse forced a smile again. At that time, Hong Kun, Hong Yu, and Li Zhu were all there. It was them who united the forces and forced them to cut off their Tao to protect themselves. The two looked at each other. At this moment, all the clues were connected. It was not a surprise that Fong Ping chose this path. Someone was forcing him to take this path step by step. If he had not met the cat, Fong Ping would not have known that he could do this. If he had not been at the Spirit King Dojo, Fong Ping would not have chosen this path. The cat had always lived in the land realm. At the Spirit King Dojo, Fong Ping and the others were forced to a dead end. It could be said that it was the three sons of the earthly emperor who forced them to do this. Hong Yu was not a part of it. Even so, Hong Yu was a threat. Li Zhu and Hong Kuan were the masterminds. They united the forces and forced the humans to do this. Without them, the others would not have besieged and killed the humans. They forced Fong Ping to cut off his Dao to help Zhang Tao in order to protect himself. None of this was an accident. Someone arranged it on purpose. Hong, he did it on purpose. The Emperor's Dao of the three realms of heaven, earth, and human, the demon's Dao. Hong wanted to open the second origin land so that Fong Ping could compete with the Emperor of Heaven. Such boldness. How ambitious. Hong had not been idling for the past 8,000 years. Having understood what was going on, the two of them exchanged glances. Then, the God Emperor suddenly chuckled. Does the person below see it? The Emperor of Heaven, Reverse Emperor, looked at him and smiled. After a while, the Emperor God said slowly, maybe you can see it, maybe not. Do you think we should stop him? Stop him? The Emperor God thought for a while and suddenly said, I have a question. Even if Fong Ping can open the second origin land, how can he get away from it? Now the Emperor God was also confused. Soon he said in a low voice, Hong is going to help him? The earthly emperor was going to use his Dao fruit to help Fong Ping? At this moment, the two thought of this. The next moment, they looked at the 22nd heaven. That was the earthly emperor's territory. At the same time, a gust of powerful force descended on the 22nd heaven and sealed off the space. The emperor of heaven's power. Not only that, someone said coldly, don't let him go on. Obviously, while the two had figured it out, someone else had figured it out as well. The earthly emperor's territory was sealed off. The Dao fruit could not escape. Even if the earthly emperor died, the Dao fruit would not fall into someone else's hands. Why not? The Emperor God said indifferently. We also want to see what the outcome will be. Besides, this is also an opportunity. Even if Fong Ping really obtains the Dao fruit, he will be imprisoned in this world by the Dao fruit's power. What are you worried about? You be careful of playing with fire. The Emperor of Heaven's voice was cold. This was not lighting a fire. This was self-immolation. Were they not afraid of an accident? The Emperor of Heaven Reverse said with a smile. This is just speculation. Why worry? What's more, can they really succeed? God, why don't we wait and see? The Emperor of Heaven Reverse said coldly. If you want to watch, then I will accompany you. But I am afraid. You will die faster. The Emperor of Heaven Reverse grinned. This is just a game. Who dies first and who dies later? Why bother? Up to you. The Emperor of Heaven chuckled, and his voice disappeared. At this moment, the two powerhouses looked at the earthly emperor's side again. I think we have been found out. The seventh heaven. At this moment, the earthly emperor suddenly laughed. Those guys are not stupid. I think they have found out. That was fast. I knew we could not hide it from them. Fong Ping also sensed it. He sensed a strong force locked on the 22nd heaven, the territory of the earthly emperor. The earthly emperor suddenly looked at Fong Ping and said with a wicked smile, Fong Ping, do you want to guess who is better, me or the Emperor of Heaven? Strength? No IQ. The earthly emperor grinned brightly. I am the wisest man in the three realms. What do you think? Fong Ping smashed his fist force with his saber and said with a smile, what do you think? I think I should be, because I have seen too much more than these idiots. They have been working behind closed doors while I have traveled the three realms for 8,000 years. I have seen too much. Fong Ping, tell me, is there any need for this world to exist? The earthly emperor laughed casually. There is really no need for it to exist. If you really don't want to wipe out the human race, why don't you try to transfer them to your place of origin and see if you can cut off the connection with the seed? If you can then kill everyone. If not, you will die sooner or later. Why don't you try to wipe out the world? Fong Ping said nothing. You are still too soft-hearted. This is not good. I am worried that my plan will fail. Won't it be like sacrificing the lives of the Hong family without any benefits. No, at least we will get rid of this cage. The earthly emperor murmured. The cage is not only the place of origin, but also the three realms. The three realms are all cages. Fong Ping said nothing. At this moment, his brain continued to fly to other heavens and continued to absorb strength. He found that the earthly emperor seemed to be helping him polish his strength. This guy seemed to want to help him quickly complete the accumulation of strength. At this moment, the earthly emperor did not care about Fong Ping's absorption of strength and continued to babble. Fong Ping, do you know what you did when you died in the battle? Too much. What are you talking about? Forget it. You won't understand, even if I tell you. The earthly emperor suddenly laughed and said, among the 9 emperors, there are 3 teachers and 1 brother. Guess who it is? You. Congratulations, you got it right. The earthly emperor laughed and said, I am his brother, the best brother. I have a better relationship with him than Mie and that iron head. Do you believe it? Not really. Stupid. That's because people are used to calling me the 4 emperors and 4 emperors. In fact, Jean and I have the best relationship. The earthly emperor was like a child at this moment, showing off and boasting. Jean and I are geniuses. You don't understand. For us, geniuses are proud. They are things that others can't understand and understand. So, Jean will only talk to me about life. Tell me, what is there to talk about with Mia? What can you talk about with that idiot Ironhead? He doesn't believe in my brother. He dared to come to the heavenly court alone to find me. Did he not think that I would find someone to kill him? The earthly emperor smiled and said, because I am his brother. Kid, you really don't understand. 10,000 years ago, I talked to him about doing something big together. He was unwilling. Do you know what happened in the end? The earthly emperor sighed and said, so, we said that we will see who will succeed in the end. As for me, I didn't want to rely on his backup plan. I was planning it myself. Unfortunately, the cage of the 3 realms still trapped me. But you can break this cage, break this limit, break this taboo. The earthly emperor shook his head. Jean is still a little more skilled. He actually thought of a way to jump out of the 3 realms. Fong Ping, don't you think it's strange that you have cultivated to this realm in more than 3 years? Don't you think it's too easy for you to improve? Don't you think you have no restrictions at all? You know, everyone has restrictions and bottlenecks. If not, wouldn't everyone be able to become Celestial Emperor and Yang God? Fong Ping frowned again. The earthly emperor laughed and said, because you are not a person of the 3 realms. How can you be imprisoned by the 3 realms? So I also want to try today to see if you can really succeed. Now it seems that there is hope, Fong Ping said in a low voice. Since you think so, why don't we join forces? Stupid. The earthly emperor sneered and said, join forces? Do you think it's useful if we join forces? Do you think that 2 scholars can kill you? This is the result of you and me joining forces. Do you think we can kill Celestial Emperor and Yang God? What's more, do you really think I can still live? The earthly emperor sneered and said, they are already suspicious now. Even if I can live, I have no chance to do anything. I want to let them know that they are the stupidest group of guys, and I am a wise man. Fong Ping did not speak, thinking about something else at the moment. The earthly emperor laughed again and said, you don't seem to believe it? The earthly emperor laughed and did not say anything about this. He suddenly asked, how is it? How long can the absorbed power last? Fong Ping looked at him and said after a while, Celestial Emperor seems to have blocked the source. I am absorbing very little power now. Of course, I have expected it. The earthly emperor was not in a hurry. Celestial Emperor is just relying on his long life. Don't worry too much about him. He is not as smart as me and Zhang Songming. If he can think of it, we have already thought of it. That idiot has always wanted to do something. Unfortunately, with us messing around, how can he succeed? The earthly emperor laughed. However, it is a little difficult for you to leave today. You have to rely on me. Call me Grandpa, and Grandpa will find a way to send you away. What do you think? How about you call me Grandpa? Fong Ping snorted coldly and slashed his saber again. At this time, This old guy still wanted to take advantage of him. You don't even call me grandpa. You are really unworthy of my Hong family's efforts. The earthly emperor smiled brightly. My 3 sons for today have paid a lot, and I am too lazy to talk about paying because I need you to help me do things that I can't do, but those 3 brats are still very innocent. The earthly emperor smiled, and his smile was a little sad. But I don't want them to live in this cage anymore, like me, to be a prisoner of the 3 realms. Fong Ping looked at him, speechless for a moment. Boy, keep the book of wind and cloud. When the cage of the 3 realms is broken, if there is another 3 realms, remember, don't forget my Hong family. It's better to leave a legend. Remember, help my Hong family write a piece of history, the family of the wise. The earthly emperor suddenly laughed at this moment and said, Sons, don't make trouble. It's time to get down to business. At this moment, the 5th heaven, the bodies of the 3 emperors trembled slightly. Hong Kuen's expression changed for a while. He slapped the heavenly hound away and said softly, Father, don't you want to play a little longer? Enough. The earthly emperor laughed and said, If you continue, there will be no more fun. We, father and son, should be free, leave this cage, and start the next period of time. Ha! Hong Kuen sighed. Then let's do as you wish, father. On the other side, Li Zhu panted, a little bitter and a little helpless. Old man, I don't have much protection from you. You met me a few times, but only left me a task, not a family relationship. Do you really have the nerve to ask me to die with you? Why not? The earthly emperor laughed loudly and said, You are my son, so don't be embarrassed. If I want to be your father, you will follow. Don't talk nonsense. Or, you can ask the celestial emperor to be your father. Then forget it, Li Zhu said with a bitter smile. That good for nothing, he has no brains, no guts, no charisma. He is not as good as you, old thing. Ha! The earthly emperor laughed out loud, as if he had heard something incredible. On the other side, Hong Yu was already trapped by the cat. He looked like he was struggling, but soon, he sighed and suddenly threw a crystal bead to the cat. He chuckled and said, Help me take her in, okay? The cat widened its eyes and looked at the figure in the bead. It was a little strange. Meow, isn't she in the lower realm? Moon's spirit. When the North Emperor died, I secretly went to seal her. Hong Yu smiled brightly. Hong Yu smiled brightly. Let her have a good sleep. She hasn't had a good rest in 8,000 years. Cat, can you help me this once? I will not hold it against you and the heavenly hound for spying on us. I will also not hold it against you for ruining my reputation. The cat looked at him and took the bead with its paw. It said in a daze, but, no buts. If the 3 realms are destroyed, then let her die peacefully in her dreams. If it's not destroyed, then let her forget her past and continue living. Hong Yu smiled brightly. I thought that she would have forgotten me after 8,000 years, but she can't. What a headache. The cat stared at him blankly, not knowing what to say for a moment. I should go. That father of mine is unreliable. He only cares about the Hong family's glory. What glory is there to speak of? Hong Yu shook his head helplessly. At this moment, the earthly emperor laughed again. What are you waiting for? If you delay any longer, the celestial emperor and the other good-for-nothings will come for you. Our family will go to hell together. I wonder if that good-for-nothing seed has opened up hell. Let's go. 5th heaven, heavenly hound, and the other powerhouses were stunned. What was the earthly emperor trying to do? At the same time, the earthly emperor looked at Fong Ping and said helplessly, They found out too quickly. There's no time to continue inspecting the goods. I've been observing you for a while. You're not bad. Stop talking nonsense. Open your source world. Open an entrance. Fong Ping frowned. The earthly emperor suddenly snorted coldly. Are you afraid of death? Fong Ping took a deep breath. Suddenly, a ball appeared in his hand. Brain nucleus. At this moment, a crack appeared on the brain nucleus. The earthly emperor smiled in satisfaction. The next moment he roared, Let's go. Together, you 3. Hurry up. We're all brothers. Although Li Zhu is the product of Casanova, he's still your younger brother. Bring him along. Don't lose him. Father will find you later. At this moment, Fong Ping also shouted in a low voice, "Let them go." Fifth heaven. The god creation envoy and the others were a little surprised, but they did not attack again. In the next moment, Hong Kuan broke through heaven and earth and entered the sixth heaven. He glanced at Fong Ping and then at the earthly emperor. Slightly helpless, he said softly, "Father, I've always disliked this guy. It's good that he dislikes you. The more he dislikes you, the better. Disgusting people is a good hand. If you're unhappy, others will be even more unhappy." Hong Kuan could not help but laugh. He laughed again. "Fine, we've already come to this point. I don't want to regret it anymore." Hong Kuan laughed. In the next moment, heaven and earth trembled. With a rumble, a Tao fruit broke through the air. At this moment, a big hand appeared in the void, as if to capture this Tao fruit. However, the earthly emperor sneered. The big hand had penetrated too far. The celestial emperor was still far away. The earthly emperor threw out his sword. The earthly emperor's sword exploded in the void directly. Rumble! With a loud bang, the big hand exploded. Hong Kuan's Tao fruit flew directly into Hong Kuan's hand. Hong Kuan glanced at Fong Ping and shook his head slightly. Suddenly he burst into flames. With a fiery light, he smiled and said, "My father said that we might be born in a new world. I hope I can see you again at that time." As soon as he finished speaking, Hong Kuan had already become a torch. He walked toward Fong Ping step by step, toward the brain nucleus. Hong Kuan, will condense the demon Tao fruit for you today. In the future, if there are more demons, treat me as the ancestor." With a smile on his face, Hong Kuan stepped into the source world and the brain nucleus step by step. Fong Ping's expression was solemn. He looked at him without saying a word. He did not stop him from entering either. On the other side, Hong Yu had been carrying the newly condensed Tao fruit. At this moment, his whole body was burning. He said reluctantly, "I can't bear to. What a pity. I condensed the celestial Tao fruit. Then there will be the celestial realm. I will be the ancestor of the celestial realm." After burning himself, Hong Yu followed Hong Kuan and stepped forward step by step. Li Zhu, who was the last, stretched out his hand and waved. A Tao fruit flew out from the fifth heaven. Li Zhu looked at Fong Ping and Zhang Tao, who had reappeared. He smiled and said, "Both of you, these few years have been very exciting, very interesting. The ups and downs of the three realms were very interesting to watch. However, if there is an afterlife, Fong Ping, you'd better not greet me. I hate it when you talk." With a smile on his face, Li Zhu walked forward, toward Fong Ping's source world. He said loudly, "The Ji family, the king of the earthly realm. I, Li Zhu, the emperor of the earthly realm. Unfortunately, this is not the earthly realm. I will go to the next world and wait for you." At this moment, the three emperors burned themselves and their Tao fruits. The three of them entered Fong Ping's source world one after another. Like three blazing suns, they burned rapidly in Fong Ping's source world. All the energy and strength were brought into this new world. The earthly sovereign had a complicated look in his eyes. He watched the three of them enter, looked at Fong Ping, turned to the others, looked at Emperor Dongwang and Emperor Renhuang, who had complicated looks in their eyes. He smiled and suddenly raised his middle finger. Emperor Dongwang was slightly stunned. The earthly sovereign grinned and said, "I will go first. You wait for your death. You will die a lowly death. Watch the Hong family leave its name in the three realms today." Ha! Along with the laughter, a voice came into Fong Ping's ears. "Go quickly. Get out of here. I will help you kill Ji. Jin will go with you. The rest of you, good luck. Fong Ping, you have to succeed. I have gambled big this time. Do you still remember those three treasures? They were either for my son or for your grandson. Ji won't die. Someone will protect him. After I die, you kill him with the jade sword, 22nd heaven selfless Tao fruit. 8,000 years ago, I was freed. I faked my death and escaped through the great Tao of battle. He was my brother, so how could he not help me? He died, and most of his strength was used to repair the crack in the source. My Tao fruit is that crystal ball. That is my Tao fruit. Break my Tao fruit so that you can get out. Kill Ji and let Jin go. And that jade pendant. In the past, in the arcane realm, Fong Ping had obtained 3 treasures from the earthly sovereign. He had never found the secret. Today, Fong Ping was a little dazed. That sword was a killing move. That crystal ball was the Tao fruit. Earthly sovereign. He had left the source world without a sound 8,000 years ago. That jade pendant, Fong Ping was still in shock. The earthly sovereign suddenly laughed and said, "That jade pendant is nothing. You will know what it is when you break it. Let's go, kid. I want to become the strongest person in the 3 realms." Ha! With boundless laughter, the earthly sovereign shouted, "3 kids, your father is here. Don't leave in a hurry." At this moment, the earthly sovereign directly burned himself. In an instant, he broke through heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, he descended on Dong Huang and the others. "Gee, my good brother, let's have a chat. The Emperor's path has not been completed yet. You are the only one left. King Wu, I am afraid that guy will be reluctant." Ha! Boundless laughter shook the source world and the 3 realms. Boom! An earth-shattering noise rang out again. The 3 realms were filled with boundless light. In the sound of the explosion, the Emperor's exasperated roars, angry shouts, and screams could be heard. Lunatics! This family was full of lunatics. One family with 4 emperors would die together today. 9 heavens divine emperor. Chapter 1468. Global High Martial Arts chapter reviews are no longer displayed, making me wait the whole night to refresh chapters. Currently typing, please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 1469. Earthly Sovereign, Hong, a peerless powerhouse. Today, he chose to self-destruct. The roar shook the 3 realms. At this moment, the land of origin was shaking violently. Curses, screams, roars, these voices could not suppress earthly sovereign's laughter. Free! He had been freed from the land of origin many years ago, but this 3 realms, the entire 3 realms, was a big cage. Seed was in the game. Celestial Emperor and Sky were cooperating with the game. They became the NPCs in the game. As the earthly sovereign who had traveled the 3 realms for many years, he knew everything. He couldn't accept it, and he wasn't willing. 10,000 years ago, he was already unwilling. Unfortunately, 10,000 years ago, he had no hope of breaking everything. He wanted John to cooperate with him and do something big together, but John refused. John even asked him to repair the land of origin. Earthly sovereign almost spat him to death. He would only agree if he was sick. Jean said that someone would solve all problems in the future. Earthly sovereign snorted, pinning his hopes on others. He must be stupid. He only believed in himself and his brothers. He did not believe in the future. He did not believe in the guy who would break the game in the future. More than 8,000 years after Jean's death, he saw Fong Ping that day. It was not the first time he met the divine sect. The first time he saw Fong Ping was in the land of imperial battle. That arrogant guy, rank 8 strength, in front of a large group of true gods, swaggering and arrogant. Very much like himself. He seemed to see himself in the past, as if he saw himself when he was young. Some people said that he looked like Tengu. That day, Taoist Feng Yin looked at him again and again, but he snorted. This guy looked like Tengu? Tengu was a fool, but this guy was not. That time, he saw Fong Ping, got to know Fong Ping, and even sensed some of the 3 emperors' strength. He was not sure because it was not his real body that went that day. He was really sure when he was in the divine sect. That day, he was sure that this person was Jean's backup. This person was what Jean said, the guy who would settle everything in the future and break the game. So weak? Maybe. The more he looked, the more he admired him. What an interesting little guy. At that time, Fong Ping compared to the divine sect was like the difference between an ant and an elephant. What was the result? In the end, the divine sect was destroyed. From then on, he paid more and more attention to this fellow, and felt more and more that perhaps there really was hope. He was more decisive than Jean, more murderous. Perhaps he did not have Jean's demeanor, did not have Jean's shock, but Fong Ping was too much like him, except he had more hope. He gave up on his own plan and began to cooperate with Jean's plan. Step by step, he forced Fong Ping to move forward. "You're not leaving?" He had to leave. The sages and heavenly kings have all been revived. Are you leaving or not? If you don't leave, I'll exterminate your human race and kill your friends and family. Do you want to break out of this situation? The new heavenly court was forcing Fong Ping to become stronger. The divine sect was forcing Fong Ping to become stronger. Everyone was forcing him to become stronger. If he did not become stronger, he would die. He would not be the only one who would die. When the Wind Cloud list was released, many experts were listed on it. All of them had a combat power of over 100 million. Were they afraid? If he was afraid, then he had to continue to grow stronger. The immortal source controls the great Tao. The fate of the human race lies within this tiny, immortal source. Do you want to break it? If he wanted to break it, he had to be strong. As expected, Fong Ping was getting stronger and stronger. He was so strong that he was pleasantly surprised. He saw hope and the continuation of his plan. Since the three realms was a cage, then he would break this cage. The Celestial Emperor and the others wanted to break the cage of the Source Land or stabilize the cage of the Source Land. He did not think so. He looked down on them from the bottom of his heart. He looked down on the Celestial Emperor, the Divine Emperor, and even the Sun God. That fellow, did he enjoy staying in the cage of the three realms? Of course, there was also some envy in his contempt. The Sun God was very strong, terrifyingly strong. That fellow could live freely in this cage, but he could not. He was not that strong. The Divine Emperor and the others had a chance to kill him. Therefore, he wanted to break this cage and change the three realms completely. An earth-shattering change. Today, the world changed. Three emperors entered Fong Ping's source. The earthly sovereign self-destructed, and the fourth emperor died. The earthly sovereign's Tao fruit was not broken, but the 22nd heaven was locked. Even if the earthly sovereign did not die, he could forget about reviving. As for Hong Yu and the other two, they were still burning themselves and their Tao fruit. Fong Ping opened up the source world. These people could see the earth-shattering movement of the earthly sovereign's self-destruction. The three of them had already become a torch. At this moment, the three of them were looking over there, listening to the earthly sovereign's laughter. Hong Kuan chuckled, Hong Yu sighed, and Li Zhu scolded with a smile. Old thing, indescribable indifference, indescribable elegance. The word old thing did not sound the slightest bit of complaint. That irresponsible father, that bastard who forced them to prove their Tao, who forced them to die, who used them as pawns, but that old bastard had told them a long time ago that they would all die. Their family would die together. No, not die. They would go to the next world and dominate it. They would be the boss, not the little brother. Hong Yu, heavenly sovereign. Li Zhu, earthly sovereign. Hong Kuan, demon emperor. The old fellow scolded them, saying that they had one less. Otherwise, the human emperor would also be their family, and he wanted to be the Tao ancestor. In a new world, his Hong family was the boss. No one could cause trouble. Today, the old fellow succeeded. He left and was going to the next world to be the boss. 10,000 years of scheming, 10,000 years of forbearance. All of it was vented today. Li Zhu had been burned until only an illusion was left. At this moment, a smile appeared on his face. He had never called anyone father before. At this moment, his smile was no longer gentle. It was hearty and bright. Father, slow down. With a laugh, Li Zhu's figure disappeared completely. With a rumble, the Tao fruit shattered, turning into raindrops, falling into the source world. Rumble. In the source world, the mainland expanded. Cities in the catacombs appeared one after another, uninhabited cities. Li Zhu's illusion dissipated completely. Dead and gone. Today, the emperor of the catacombs, Li Zhu, had fallen. You left so quickly, Hong Kuan scolded with a smile. He tilted his head to look at Fong Ping and scolded, Bastard, You've made me angry many times. I've wanted to kill you for a long time. If it were not for the old thing persuading me, I would have killed you long ago. Today, the grudge between us ends here. Rumble. Another loud noise. The source world shook. The mainland expanded again. Not only did it expand, but at this moment a huge tree appeared in the source world. It began to prop up the world, shaped like celestial wood. Celestial wood. Hongyu did not say anything else. He looked back at the green cat reluctantly, but it was not the cat that he was looking at. Very quickly, he turned his head and looked at the source of the explosion that was still going on. He smiled, looking extremely cool. With a wave of his hand, he disappeared between heaven and earth. Boom! Today, the source world seemed to have gone crazy. It expanded and consolidated again and again. Between heaven and earth, some trees and animals even appeared. Those illusions seemed to be more and more realistic at this moment. In this world, there were mountains, water, trees, people, life, and everything else. The source was shaking even more violently. The three emperors had completed Fong Ping's source, but they did not repair it. Triple heaven and earth was collapsing, including the beast emperors, north emperors, and south emperors at this moment. The source was shaking so hard that even the emperors could not stand steadily. Cracks densely covered the entire world, as if the source was going to be torn apart. Fong Ping, on the other hand, was extremely calm. Even at this moment, he did not seal the source world. Instead, he was rapidly absorbing the energy that was snatching from the source world. The opening was madly absorbing the source world's energy. Heaven and earth collapsed layer by layer. Gigantic cracks appeared again and again. Fong Ping was fearless. In his hand, a small sword appeared. In the past, the small sword that he seized in the mystic realm. Obviously, the earthly emperor might have been prepared and handed this thing to him that day. However, he chose to do it in the mystic realm, perhaps to avoid the powerhouse's detection. Was there anyone who could save the emperor? His own source world still lacked humanity. Fong Ping was clear about this. His own source world was not perfect yet. Although the emperor did not cultivate the authentic emperor path, it was similar to Li Zhu's path. It was still very helpful for perfecting the source world. Fong Ping was too lazy to care about the emperor's good or bad. He was too lazy to care about his schemes. Were there good people in the three realms? Were there bad people? Today, it was already impossible to distinguish good people and bad people. It was impossible to distinguish between different standpoints. Were the earthly emperor and the others good people? No. Because of them, the humans in the three realms and the catacombs had probably died hundreds of millions. How could these people be considered good people? Were they considered bad people? They only wanted to break out of this cage and live a little more freely. Even if they died, they did not want to be prisoners. At this moment, Fong Ping could not distinguish, and he did not want to distinguish. If he wanted to break out of this situation, then he had to make the source world stronger. The emperor could satisfy him. Otherwise, he could only let old Zhang try. This was what Fong Ping was unwilling to do. I only protect what I approve of. Fong Ping no longer talked about righteousness or the human race. He only wanted to protect what he wanted to protect, such as old Zhang, but not the emperor. The screams did not stop. The earthly emperor was too strong. If he self-destructed, the emperor might have been killed if Dong Huang did not share some of the pressure. However, the earthly emperor was mainly targeting the emperor. Dong Huang was not the main target. At this moment, Dong Huang retreated quickly. Although he had restrained some of the power, there were still countless energy explosions, and the emperor was in an extremely miserable state. He felt like he was dying. "Seed Celestial Emperor, save me!" The emperor roared. It was not strange for him to call Seed or Celestial Emperor, but to call him Celestial Emperor. Obviously, he knew something, or he had been involved all along, taking on an important role. Do you want the source ground to collapse completely? At this moment, someone shouted angrily. The previous indifference disappeared with anger. 36 levels of heaven. The Emperor of Heaven Reverse and the Emperor of God looked at each other and smiled. They said nothing, but a crack appeared in the 36 levels of heaven. Humph! Mixed with anger, a pair of hands went through the crack into 36 levels of heaven and directly reached for the emperor. This time, it was not a projection, but a real hand. The projection could not handle the power of the earthly emperor's self-destruction. If the power was transmitted, even the emperor of heaven reverse would be blasted to death. The hand was getting bigger and faster. It passed through layers of heaven and reached for the emperor of heaven reverse. At this moment, Fong Ping also saw everything clearly. The earthly emperor's self-destruction had collapsed more than one level of heaven. From here to the emperor of heaven reverse, there were West Emperor's 8th level of heaven and Spirit Emperor's 11th level of heaven. Except for these 2 levels of heaven that were still intact, the other places had almost collapsed. There were countless cracks. At this moment, the Emperor of Heaven Reverse was still struggling in a mass of intense energy. Cracks began to wrap around the Emperor of Heaven Reverse, trying to swallow him up. Next to Fong Ping, the heaven-subduing king and the others looked at Fong Ping, surprised and at a loss. This time, it was really beyond their expectations. Fong Ping, on the other hand, did not have time to think about that. He quickly transmitted his voice. "Cat, old ghost Shin, quickly snatched the Emperor's Dao fruit. We'll leave together later." Leave? Emperor's Dao fruit? The man and the cat were a little surprised. The Celestial Emperor had made a move. How could they snatch the Dao fruit? How could they leave? However, since Fong Ping said so, they did not say anything else. They quickly flew over there and prepared to take action. Fong Ping, on the other hand, glanced at the others. At this moment, the Heavenly Hound and the Book Fragrance were still unable to escape. The God Creation Envoy had previously used the Beast Emperor's Dao fruit to repair his cracks. Unless the origin was completely destroyed, he could leave now. Just like the West Emperor, of course, if someone destroyed his origin, he would have to return to continue suppressing it. Unless he left via the 3 Emperor's Dao. Fong Ping's eyes moved slightly. Then he would leave via the 3 Emperor's Dao. Senior Book Fragrance, Heavenly Hound. Fong Ping could not help the 2 of them escape at this time. The emperors had all been killed. On the emperor's side, the earthly emperor had left it for the heaven-subduing king to repair the cracks left after the Dao fruit left, in case the heaven-subduing king could not escape. The heaven-subduing king's departure was more significant than the 2 leaving. Fong Ping said quickly, "The 2 of you can't leave now. Gather the dragon transformation as soon as possible. Now that the emperors have suffered heavy casualties, even if the God Emperor and the others want to make a move, the Celestial Emperor will not kill anymore." The Book Fragrance nodded slightly. The Heavenly Hound was a little depressed, but he did not say anything. As for Fong Ping, he quickly put away the brain nucleus and flew toward the Emperor. Old Zhang and the God Creation Envoy also quickly followed. At this time, the huge palm had already rushed into the energy ball. Rumble, even the Celestial Emperor's palm, facing the power of the earthly Emperor's self-destruction, was blown into pieces of flesh and blood. After all, it was only a hand, and not all of the Celestial Emperor had descended. The Celestial Emperor did not dare to descend rashly. Do He-cheong was still waiting for him. To save the Emperor, this hand was enough. Together with the Emperor himself, he could escape. The earthly Emperor said that someone wanted to save the Emperor. Obviously, he was talking about the Celestial Emperor. Kill! Fong Ping did not waste any more time and slashed over there. He was worried that the killing move left behind by the earthly Emperor was not powerful enough to break the Celestial Emperor's palm and kill the Emperor. In front, the heaven-subduing king also punched out. The martial king and the others attacked from a distance. Kill the Emperor. On the other side, the Emperor could no longer maintain the existence of his flesh and blood. A white jade skeleton appeared, wrapped in countless cracks and attacked by the energy of the earthly Emperor's self-destruction. Seeing this, he roared, "Fong Ping, we are on the same side. The seed has to protect the human race from destruction." The Celestial Emperor has never thought of completely exterminating the human race. Fong Ping had already understood many things at this moment. He said coldly, "Yes, I have never thought of exterminating the human race, but I have thought of keeping the human race in captivity. Keeping them in captivity again and again, harvesting them again and again, creating immortal sources again and again, repairing the source again and again. Isn't this your goal? Gee, you are probably the executor. You, the emperor, are too suitable to keep the human race in captivity. No, the emperor roared. That's not the case. Boom. Fong Ping's long saber had already arrived, and the saber light broke through the obstruction. At this moment, the big hand slapped over. With a bang, the saber light shattered, but there was also a bloody mark. The Celestial Emperor did not say anything at all and continued to grab the Emperor in the energy cluster. Behind, the attacks of the heaven-subduing king and the others arrived one after another. Rumble! The sound of explosions rang out incessantly. The Celestial Emperor's palm had withstood one attack after another, and it was already somewhat broken, but he did not care about this and continued to grab the Emperor. Qin Fengqing. At this moment, the Emperor roared once again. On the other side, Qin Fengqing's face was covered in dirt. Although the Emperor of Earth's self-destruction did not target him, he was still quite injured at this moment, and he was still very far away. When he heard this, Qin Fengqing looked up. Without thinking too much, Qin Fengqing shouted, "You're finished. You actually cooperated with the Celestial Emperor. This is the Seed's great enemy. You're finished. You betrayed us. You're no longer the Tao Protector clan. Seed, quickly kill the traitor." The Emperor almost died of anger. At this point, he did not believe that Qin Fengqing had not seen through it. The Seed and the Celestial Emperor were not great enemies at all. But before he could speak, Qin Fengqing broke into a run and shouted, "I'm going to report to the Seed that you've betrayed us and sided with the Celestial Emperor. You traitor! The Tao Protector clan will not let you off." The Emperor was furious, but at this moment, he was too lazy to care about him. At this moment, the Celestial Emperor's giant hand had shattered the cracks in the surroundings. At this moment, he was safe. The Emperor of Earth had self-destructed, and his Tao fruit was sealed. It would not be so easy for Fong Ping and the others to kill him now. Moreover, the Celestial Emperor had appeared, and Fong Ping and the others still dared to chase after him. The Celestial Emperor would not sit back and watch. Just as the Emperor was thinking, from the other side, over there, Fong Ping had quickly killed. Glancing coldly at the broken giant hand, Fong Ping snorted coldly and swung his saber in that direction. At this moment, the Emperor of Earth had already broken through the surrounding blockade. He did not stay here and quickly retreated. Even if the Celestial Emperor's palm was seriously injured, it could still entangle Fong Ping and the others. He was extremely injured and almost died from the explosion. He did not want to stay here any longer. The Emperor of Earth quickly retreated, preparing to leave this place of trouble. At this moment, the Celestial Emperor's palm turned into a middle-aged man who looked similar to Heavenly King Zhen. Previously, Fong Ping had even teased Heavenly King Zhen about whether he was the Celestial Emperor's son. The Celestial Emperor that the palm had turned into looked at Fong Ping and slightly frowned. Today, boom, Fong Ping would not listen to his nonsense and quickly attacked. Looking at the fleeing Emperor, Fong Ping's eyes flickered. Suddenly, a small sword shot out from his hand and quickly flew toward the Emperor. At first, the Celestial Emperor did not care. He was only transformed from the palm. Fong Ping's current combat strength was also extremely strong. It was not so easy to deal with him. He was somewhat suppressed. However, when he saw the jade sword being thrown out, the Celestial Emperor's expression suddenly changed slightly. That was, "Gee, get out of the way." The Celestial Emperor roared. The fleeing Emperor in front turned his head and looked. When he saw the jade sword, his expression also changed. "This is the Annihilation Sword." The Emperor's expression changed completely. The Emperors of the three realms each had their own unique skills. Emperor Nan's Vitality Restoration Technique, the Emperor's Vitality Qualitative Change Technique, the Emperor North's Golden Body Technique. As for the Emperor of Earth, his physical body was not weak, his vitality was very strong, And his mentality was not bad either, but what he was good at was nothing else but the killing technique, the annihilation sword. The Emperor of Earth had two swords. One was the Emperor of Earth sword, and the other was the annihilation sword. Normally, this sword would not kill him. The Emperor of Earth was also an invincible powerhouse. How could he be killed so easily? But not now. He was seriously injured by the Emperor of Earth's self-destruction. With such an injury, how could he resist this sword? At this time, the small jade sword suddenly shattered. A shocking murderous aura broke through the source. At this moment, it seemed that there was only this sword left in the world. I'm out again. At this moment, the Emperor of Earth's laughter sounded again. It was a proud laughter. Brother G, don't run. I've been plotting against you for a long time. You can't escape. Hong? The Emperor of Earth roared. Don't shout. If I can't kill you, how will the three realms look at me? If I can't even kill an emperor, how will I leave behind a legend that will shock the three realms? The Emperor of Earth's voice sounded. He laughed and said, I originally wanted to kill a strong one, but forget it. I probably can't. For example, that Hao guy is too sinister. So after looking around, I decided to kill you. This sword of mine, the Annihilation Sword, can't annihilate the world, but it can still annihilate you. Buzz. At this moment, the three swords felt the power of destruction. The Annihilation Sword. The Emperor of Earth wanted to annihilate the world, but he had never used this sword before. Even the emperors only knew of its existence. They had never seen it before. Today, they knew what the Annihilation Sword was. Rumble. The sword seemed to have been pierced through. The black sword light was filled with the power of destruction. As the sword slashed out, the Emperor of Earth roared. His blood burned, his bones burned, and he broke through layers of the void. However, he couldn't avoid this sword. Hong! The Emperor of Earth roared. He couldn't accept this. He still had many things he hadn't done. He couldn't accept dying at the hands of Hong. Hong didn't want to live. He wanted to die. Before Hong died, he chose to take him with him. The Emperor of Earth couldn't even curse at him. This guy was already dead. No, his Tao fruit hadn't shattered yet, but he was already dead. At this point, he still wanted to take him with him. He really couldn't accept this. Seed! The Emperor of Earth roared. The source was created by the seed. The seed could transmit power to save him. The Heaven Emperor was entangled with Do and Xiong. He could only stretch out his hand. Now, only the seed could save him. He was still useful to the seed. And just as he was calling for the seed, in a dark part of the universe, the seed seemed to want to leave, but the sun god punched the void and scolded. You want to leave? You brought me here, and you want to leave after playing? Do you think I'm the kind of person you can abandon after playing with me once? Why are you leaving? Continue playing. Let's see who dies. I'm going to play with you today. You're not allowed to leave until I'm satisfied. Yang. What Yang? Call me father. I can't even call you father. Give me a few bites, and I'll let you go. Boom. The sound of an explosion rang out. One person and one seed, at this moment, started playing again in this dark universe. And in the source, the seed didn't save him. The Emperor of Earth watched as the black sword pierced through his body. He was unwilling and in despair. No way. The Heaven Emperor would save him. The seed would save him. Why did he die? He couldn't accept this. Boom. Another earth-shattering roar rang out. This sword was full of destructive power, directly causing the Emperor of Earth's jade bones to explode, fall apart, and completely shatter. Hong, you lunatic! With a roar of despair, the Emperor of Earth was too unwilling to accept this. At this moment, no one cared about him. Fong Ping roared. Quick, seize the Tao fruit, boom. On the other side, Heavenly King, subduing, smashed the celestial barrier with a punch and entered a turbulent world. Song Mao quickly flew toward a place, and in the blink of an eye, he pierced through the void and arrived at a place. Heavenly King, subduing, followed, and at this moment, a figure appeared. Dong Wang. Dong Wang looked at a piece of black jade in front of Song Mao and said with a smile, the Emperor of Earth's Tao fruit Heavenly King's subduing expression changed drastically. Dong Wang was definitely not weaker than Earthly King. He actually came. This guy wanted to seize the Tao fruit. This incomparably low-key fellow was always easily forgotten by others, but his strength was the real deal. Now everyone knew a lot about Dong Wang. Back then, the attack on Song Mao was secretly planned by him. The change in the celestial origin seemed to be related to him, and he could not escape the death of the three emperors. He seemed to have cooperated with the Seed, the Celestial Emperor, and the Divine Emperor. Until now, not many people could guess what this guy was thinking. He was very powerful, but very low-key. Very low-key, but he had done a lot of big things. However, after he was done, not many people could think of him. At this moment, was he also here for the Tao fruit? Did he want to escape? The Emperor of Earth's Tao fruit was very strong, and the Emperor was not weak. If Dong Wang was more prepared, he should be able to escape with the help of the Emperor of Earth's Tao fruit. Heavenly King's subduing was extremely vigilant. At this moment, time was tight, and he could not wait any longer. Seeing that he was about to attack, Dong Wang smiled and said, "Don't panic, it's just the Tao fruit. I don't care too much about it. I just came to take a look and say hello." But Song Mao ignored him, stretched out his claws, and grabbed the black jade. Dong Wang smiled and did not stop him. Seeing this, Heavenly King subduing did not care what he wanted to do. He hurriedly retreated, quickly grabbed Song Mao, and fled, running toward the third heaven. Soon, the third heaven was in front of him. Behind him, Fong Ping and Heavenly Emperor's palm were still fighting. At this moment, Heavenly Emperor was constantly collapsing. As for Heavenly King subduing, as soon as he returned to the third heaven, there was a loud explosion. The world was dark. The Emperor's Tao fruit was shattered. Today, another Emperor had fallen. At this point, Beast Emperor, North Emperor, Emperor Li Zhu, Hong Kuan, and Hong Yu had all fallen. The Earthly Emperor's Tao fruit had not shattered yet. In the next moment, Fong Ping smashed Heavenly Emperor's arm with a saber and quickly flew toward the third heaven. The source world opened, and a part of the Emperor's power was transmitted from the Tao fruit, seeping into the source world. As for Fong Ping, a crystal ball appeared in his hand, a look of struggle on his face. Soon, Fong Ping stopped struggling. This was the Earthly Emperor's choice. As for him, he needed to leave the source and no longer be controlled by it. Send the Earthly Emperor on his way. Fong Ping whispered softly. With a bang, he crushed the crystal ball. With a bang, a large amount of energy appeared near the source world. Fong Ping did not feel anything before, but now he felt it. This powerful force was cutting off the connection between the brain nucleus and the nearby void. And between heaven and earth, there were a few mechanical sounds. The Emperor has fallen. The Earthly Emperor has fallen. Rumble. The explosion sounded again, and the source where the Emperor was exploded. The 22nd heaven where the Earthly Emperor was still quiet. The Tao fruit was long gone. Chapter 1470. Earthly Sovereign, Human Sovereign, North Sovereign, Beast Sovereign, Hong Yu, Li Zhu, and Hong Kuan. In a single day, 7 monarchs had fallen. The sky was dark and boundless, and the 3 realms trembled violently. Of the 9 heavens in the 3 realms, 3 had already been destroyed, and now 3 more were destroyed. Only 3 remained. The sea roared, the catacombs shook, and the human world shook. In the sea, some of the small islands were completely destroyed. The tsunami struck. On Earth, volcanoes were erupting and earthquakes were frequent. A large number of martial artists were mobilized to suppress the natural disasters. There was still order on Earth, but there was no order in the catacombs anymore. In the sea, the Chuwu continent was also trembling violently. Large numbers of sea demons had gone berserk. They could no longer survive in the sea, so they had no choice but to slaughter their way into the continent to find a place to live. Turbulence, chaos. Too many experts had died. Today was like the end of the world. With the fall of the Catacombs Emperor, there was no one to suppress the previously invading Misery Sea, which quickly rushed to the outer realm. Doomsday had arrived. This time, even the celestial arch was powerless to interfere. The human sovereign was dead, the earthly sovereign was dead, and so many sovereigns were dead, the Tao fruit had either self-detonated or been taken away by someone else. The earthly emperor's Tao fruit was used by Fong Ping. The human emperor's Tao fruit was used by the heavenly king, and the beast emperor's Tao fruit was used by the god forging. However, the self-destruction of the North Emperor and the earthly emperor had caused even greater damage and cracks to appear in the origin ground. Fong Ping had even stolen a large amount of energy from the source land. Origin. At this moment, a crack appeared in the sky. It was not a rift, but a door. Behind the rift, Wang Jinyang was already waiting for them. Fong Ping and the others wanted to leave through the door. Only through the door could he take away the Tao fruit. Fong Ping did not care, but if the heavenly king, subduing king, and the god creation envoy wanted to leave, they had to take away the Tao fruit. A group of people tore through the air and ran towards the crack. Fong Ping guarded the four directions, worried that Dong Wang and the rest would be cut off at this moment. But at this moment, the source of origin was extremely quiet. In the 36 layers of heaven, Emperor of Heaven Reverse and Emperor God did not stop him. Not only did they not do anything, but they also closed the 36 layers of heaven again. As for the wandering Dong Wang, he did not make a move. At this moment, Dong Wang floated in the sky, hidden within the darkness. Looking at these people who were rushing up into the sky, his face let out a deep smile. His smile was baffling. There were still a few people who didn't leave. Qin Fengqing, the heavenly dog, the book fragrance, and the dragon transformation couldn't leave. The Tao fruit's crack hadn't been filled yet, so they couldn't leave even if they wanted to. At that moment, a sorrowful voice was heard. Count me in. Big shots of the human race. Count me in. At some unknown point, Emperor Shi had entered the Essence Land. Up in the 8th heaven, Emperor Shi appeared to have taken his Tao fruit. His face was filled with bitterness, pity, grief, and sorrow. In any case, his expression was incomparably complicated. He wanted to chase after them, but he was also afraid of being killed. But if he didn't chase, he wouldn't have a chance to escape. Big bosses, can you bring me along? The Western Emperor was so lowly. The lowly Emperor of the West began to pretend to be pitiful. If I leave, the source land will lose the power of a Tao fruit. How wonderful! The Celestial Emperor will definitely cry. If I don't leave, he'll kill me and use my Tao fruit to make up for another heaven. Take me with you. Emperor Shi's voice was mournful. In the sky, Fong Ping swept a cold glance at him. At this moment, Emperor Shi could guess what he wanted to do. No, kill me and make up for these guys? He pointed to Book Fragrance and the others who had gathered over there and said pitifully, it's too late. It takes time to kill me, but if this passageway is maintained for a while, those guys will definitely come and Wang Jinyang will be finished. Big bosses, take me with you. My son is still in your hands. If I don't obey, then kill my son and threaten me. I'll definitely obey. Was this still human speech? At this moment, only the celestial pole was not here. Otherwise, he would have cursed Emperor Shi to his ancestors. Was he still human? This was not the way to sell one's son. Of course, Emperor Shi did not care. Look, how did the earthly emperor sell his son? He sold 3 at once. How miserable. He only sold 1. What was the big deal? Fong Ping's expression changed, and he growled, hurry up, go. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Emperor Shi shot out. His speed was so fast that it was surprising. This old guy was riveting his strength and sprinting madly in that direction. Time to run. Today was a good day. Regardless of whether the others died or not, he could run. How great! He could even run away with the Tao fruit. He had earned big. 36 levels of heaven. At this moment, Celestial Emperor arrived. This was still not his real body. But this time, he had spent a lot of energy and even used his own divine weapon. This avatar was so powerful that its aura shook the entire heaven and earth. Do you have to do this? 2 people stood in his way. They would not let him go. Celestial Emperor looked calm, but his voice was cold. These 2 had completely fallen out with him this time. They would rather let Fong Ping and the others go than let him go. Emperor God said, "Let them go. The world is big. It's the same no matter where we go. What's the rush?" Emperor Heaven reverse laughed. "The source is in turmoil. Many levels of heaven are broken today. Celestial Emperor, I think you should suppress the source. If we fight now, it will be more difficult to suppress the source when more levels of heaven are broken. This is too troublesome." Celestial Emperor looked at the two and said coldly, "Let them go. What do you think they can do? Even if Fong Ping has a second source, he has no energy source and the power of the source is limited. Can he defeat me?" Emperor God chuckled. "Just watch. It's just a game. Why so serious?" Celestial Emperor said nothing more. He looked at Dong Wang, who was walking toward them. His eyes were cold. No one knew what he was thinking. Dong Wang looked calm and collected. He cupped his fists at them and said with a smile, "Today, I have witnessed Hong's prowess. This guy has done so many things in the past 10,000 years. How unexpected." Then he added with a smile, "You three, we are not as good as the juniors." At this moment, the remaining 4 people were the oldest batch of beginner martial artists. In the 3 realms, there were only a few beginner martial artists in the first batch. Among the overlords in the past, apart from the 4 of them, there were Sun God and Underworld God who was slightly weaker. As for Sky Arm, he was also very old, but he was weaker back then. As for the other beginner martial artist, he broke through 8 illusions and advanced later. To them, Earthly Sovereign and Jean were indeed young, but there were only a few of them left. Celestial Emperor glanced at the tunnel that was starting to close up. He was no longer in a hurry. He said lightly, "How you have been hiding all these years and waiting. Is there still no result?" Dong Wang said with a smile, "I'm not as good as you guys. Why would I expect anything? I'm just muddling through and living a peaceful life. Whether it is in the Source Land or the 3 realms, there is not much difference. It is just a bigger cage." He did not seem to want to leave and was too lazy to leave. The Source Land was a cage, but the outside world was not? Yes, in the outside world, it was just a little bigger. Dong Wang said and sighed. In the end, the creator should be the creator. He should not be a ruler or an intelligent life. This is a headache. Dong Wang shook his head. It is fine if it is normal. Unfortunately, the 3 realms has fallen into the hands of the seeds. There is really nothing to say. They only want the world to be in chaos. How can there be peace? Celestial Emperor said indifferently. What do you want to say? Dong Wang said with a smile, "Nothing. I just think that Hong might not be wrong. If it is really impossible, it might be more interesting to destroy this world and perish together with that guy." As he spoke, he looked at the 3 of them and chuckled. "But the 3 of you don't necessarily want to die. I'm afraid that old young God doesn't want to die either. That's why this world is so frustrating, isn't it? The 4 most powerful ones did not want to die. What else could they say? This world could not be destroyed. Hong was in despair. He could not destroy this world, so he gave up in the end. He pinned his hope on Fong Ping. It was an insignificant hope. Could Fong Ping really destroy the world? Earthly Emperor was not sure, but he would rather give it a try. Either way, he would not be able to do it. Dong Wang did not continue this topic. He looked at the sky and said with a smile, "Celestial Emperor, the source is about to mature. But I think Fong Ping and the others are going out to exterminate the spirits and break the source." Celestial Emperor's expression changed. The next moment, he said coldly, "Then today, we will break the barrier of the 3 realms. When the 3 realms are united, I will be the master of the source. Let's see if Fong Ping dares to break it." Celestial Emperor said in a low voice, "When the 3 realms are united, the source will be shaken. Brother Tian, it is already so shaken, but you can still unite. Your strength, huh? I think the crack has been repaired, or is the seed still helping to suppress it?" Celestial Emperor was the biggest crack in the source. 70% of his strength had been restrained. Of course, this was what he said before. When the 3 realms were united, heaven and earth shook. The origin universe arrived. The 9 levels of heaven were broken, and the source was shaken. At this time, the source must be at its most stable to break the barrier of the three realms. But now, Celestial Emperor was going to break the barrier of the three realms and guard the source. Clearly, he could suppress the source. Celestial Emperor said in a low voice. Celestial Emperor also laughed. Celestial Emperor did not mind. They were just pretending to be confused. At this point, who did not know who was who? Right now, the source was riddled with holes. It was not the time to break the barrier. But he had to do it. Otherwise, once Fong Ping and the others left, they would attack the source. By then, Spirit Emperor would not be able to stop Fong Ping. Celestial Emperor suddenly disappeared. At this moment, the entire world was shaking violently. The sky was falling. The moment Fong Ping and the others came out, the sky was falling. It was really falling. Heaven and earth were falling apart. Black cracks crisscrossed between heaven and earth. Seeing this, old Zhang's expression changed slightly. He shouted quickly, "Hurry! Suppress earth! Suppress earth! For departments and 4 prefectures, suppress everywhere! Hurry! Fong Ping, Heavenly King Jin, go and help!" Old Zhang's shouts resounded across earth. The place where they appeared was earth. At this moment, the entire world was shaking. In the sky, a universe was descending. That was the origin universe. From all directions, there seemed to be the sound of a tsunami. That was the roar of the bitter sea. The 3 realms were becoming one. Heavenly King Jin and the others immediately understood. The 3 realms were becoming one. The 3 realms becoming one. From then on, there would be no 9 levels of heaven, the origin universe, and the real universe. In the sky, huge stars appeared one after another. Those were the stars of the origin. On this day, the stars in the sky were much more real. They were no longer the reflections of the stars of the past. The sun was the light of the source of the celestial source. The stars were the powerhouses stars of the source that were reflected to the human world. When martial artists reached rank 9, they all had the existence of the stars of the source. It could be big or small, far or near. In the past, everyone could not sense their own origin very clearly. However, today, those rank 9 martial artists could sense some things and the existence of the stars of the source. In the sky, there was a star that belonged to them. However, in the next moment, a large number of stars crashed. It was like the end of the world. A fallen star represented the death of a powerhouse. At this moment, it was chaos. It was not the human world that was in chaos, but the catacombs. Li Zhu was dead. Hong Yu was dead. Earthly Emperor was dead. The bitter sea was devouring the catacombs. At this moment, the 3 huge continents began to connect and collide with each other. The catacombs, the human world, beginner martial arts. At this moment, the 3 continents, following the shattering of the boundary walls, began to merge together. At this moment, the human world and the catacombs collided immediately. Magic City. Fong Ping stood in front of the original Magic City passageway. At this moment, the passageway had completely disappeared. The celestial realm wall had shattered. In the sea near Magic City, at this moment, an incomparably huge continent appeared. The catacombs, the entire earth began to squeeze and merge. In the past, the huge sea began to be squeezed. Part of the sea turned into a large inland lake. Part of the sea was occupied by foreign continents. Another part of the sea began to be occupied by the bitter sea. The roaring sound of the waves rumbled, impacting the entire 3 realms. Among the 3 huge continents, Earth was the smallest. The catacombs was the largest, followed by Chua mainland. They began to squeeze together. Such an impact, other than top-notch powerhouses, even desperate realm powerhouses could not suppress it. They could not withstand such a collision force of the continents. The people of Earth were panicking, but the powerhouses of Earth were all there. At this moment, following the outburst of Old Zhang and the others' aura, the projection, and the help of a large number of martial artists, the people from all sides gathered and evacuated. It was still considered peaceful. However, over at the catacombs, it was crazy. The few powerhouses like the monster emperors did not have the heart to care about them. The power to destroy the world drove countless martial artists crazy. Some were killing, some were crying, some were fleeing. However, the bitter sea surrounded them in all directions. Where could they run? In the past, they could not wait to invade the human world. However, now that the continents were in contact, there were a lot of human emperors. How would they dare to come into contact with the human world? Projections of powerhouses were projected on all three continents. Over at Chu, it was relatively quiet. The most chaotic place was the catacombs. At this moment, the Heavenly King powerhouses of Chu were also unleashing their aura to suppress the Chu mainland. A large number of Heavenly King powerhouses were resisting the demons who had no choice but to flee to the shore. As for the catacombs, those Heavenly Kings were suppressing the chaos, but most of their energy was focused on the humans. They were about to border with the humans. From now on, there would be no more barriers. In the past, the humans were afraid of the world wall shattering. Today, they were the ones who were afraid. Part of Mount Imperial Sea had been destroyed previously. At this moment, most of Mount Imperial Sea was still intact. Several top-notch powerhouses were currently gathered at Mount Imperial Sea. The monster emperors, King Feng, King Qian, King Jin. In the past, powerhouses were as numerous as clouds. Now, there were fewer and fewer. They looked at the human continent not far away with solemn expressions. A large number of martial artist armies began to gather. Obviously, after the three continents converged, there would definitely be chaos. The fleeing catacombs martial artists, the fleeing catacombs citizens, and the panicking demons would all cause a war between the three continents to erupt at any time. However, the catacombs really could not fight against all sides now. Not to mention the humans, they could not even defeat the Chu. These were not the most important. More importantly, the three realms were united. The emperors of the origin could also descend. Yes, the emperors could descend. Of course, they would still be restricted by the origin, but it would not be as troublesome as before. They did not need to pass through the origin universe to descend. They could descend directly. After today, a war between emperors might erupt at any time. Moreover, it would not be like before, unable to affect the three realms. Instead, it would erupt within the three realms. If today's war erupted in the three realms, perhaps only 1/10 of the entire three realms would survive. That powerful self-detonation was enough to destroy the entire continent. Restrict everyone. At this moment, on the distant Chua mainland, the underworld god rose into the sky. His figure was incomparably huge, illuminating the entire Chua mainland. He roared, "The three realms are united, the continents are colliding. No one is allowed to leave this place. No one is allowed to attack the human world. Anyone who disobeys will be killed without mercy." Even if they died where they were, these people were not allowed to attack the human world. As emperors fell one after another, who did not know how powerful the human world was. The underworld god was afraid that those people would panic and clash with the humans, leading to the outbreak of a war. When that happened, it would probably be the end of Chu. At this moment, he could not afford to be careless or soft-hearted. There was no such order in the catacombs. At this moment, only 1/10 of the people in the outer domain were left. In the inner domain, the natural mode of Mount Imperial Sea was still there. Other than the absolute peak, no one else could cross it. Did the absolute peak need restrictions? If you were not afraid of death, you could try attacking the human world. As for those who were left in the outer domain, they could not care about them. The moment the continents collided, perhaps everyone would die. There was no need to care about these. The collision of the three realms was not the most dangerous. At this moment, the world was filled with cracks, spatial fissures. The Sea of Bitterness was attacking the three continents. These were the most dangerous. The water of the Sea of Bitterness could be instantly melted by those below the Golden Body realm. As for the spatial fissures, as the 9 heavens shattered, there were even fissures that could cut through 9 powerhouses. These were the most dangerous. That was not all. At this moment, the origin universe turned into a starry sky. In the starry sky, that dark place was also the most dangerous. That was where the origin was. On this day, everyone could see the origin. Just above the immortal origin, behind the sun, there was darkness. Stars adorned the three realms. At this moment, all living beings in the three realms could see the sun and also some huge stars. The stars and the sun were together. The radiance of the immortal origin could no longer cover the light of these stars. Powerhouses who did not enter the origin could see the stars of the origin. And powerhouses who entered the origin, who were also emperors, actually had the existence of the stars of the origin. However, they were all formed from Tao fruits and were blocked by the origin. Outsiders could not see them clearly. At this moment, the brightest star in the three realms was not the immortal origin, but the star of King Marshall. He entered the origin. At this moment, an incomparably huge star hung in the sky. However, it quickly disappeared. King Marshall did not want his star to be attacked. Fong Ping did not suppress the turbulence, nor did he care about the catacombs and Chu Wu. At this moment, he was looking at the immortal origin in the sky, looking at the origin above the immortal origin. The origin was like a big black cake, decorating the immortal origin in the middle. The immortal origin and the origin were connected. The Celestial Emperor personally suppressed the immortal origin. At this moment, the Celestial Emperor could walk out of the origin at any time and attack the human world. Of course, when they walked out of the origin, their strength would still be slightly suppressed. The immortal origin was even more resplendent. It seemed like it could be plucked at any time. This was a sign that the immortal origin was about to mature. Maturing actually meant that the empty area around the origin could be sealed. Not only that, at this moment, the broken paths did not seem as wide as before. The Celestial Emperor's voice suddenly sounded, spreading throughout the three realms. From today onwards, martial artists who break 8 can prove their Tao, cross the broken path, and break through to become emperors. The day of becoming an emperor had arrived, and this was not the end, just the beginning. In the next moment, an even more shocking voice was heard. Breaking 8 in the origin. Killing Chu Wu. Breaking 8. Broken path self-repair. Chu Wu breaks 8. Killing origin breaks 8. Stars fall. Absorb the power of origin. Prove your Tao. Break 9. These two sentences made the powerhouses of the Chu Wu continent and the catacombs tremble at the same time. Massacre. This indicated that the massacre had begun. Chu Wu kills origin. Hope to break 9. Origin kills Chu Wu. Hope to prove your Tao. Origin, do you want to prove your Tao? If you did not prove your Tao, you would always have this strength and soon die in the chaos of war. If you proved your Tao, even if the origin was a cage, it would be safer than now. Now, what was safer was that North Emperor and the others were dead. The Divine Emperor and the others might not think highly of these newly promoted emperors. At this time, it was much safer than before. On the ground, Fong Ping sneered. Massacre? Kill Chu Wu? Kill those who had obtained the power of the seeds back then, such as Sky Arm and the Underworld God. As for the origin, these broken paths had been controlled, so it could make the immortal origin mature faster. If the origin died, it would not lose anything. If it was alive, it could kill a few Chu Wu breakers, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Fong Ping looked at the sky and did not say anything. At this time, he was no match for the Celestial Emperor. However, if the Celestial Emperor walked out of the origin, would he dare? Was he not afraid that if he walked out, the Divine Emperor and the others would rebel? He was afraid. Therefore, at this moment, the Divine Emperor and the others were fighting, restraining the Celestial Emperor. Fong Ping was actually also restraining the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Emperor was in the most difficult situation at this time, not to mention that the Sun God was still in the human world. Although the Sun God was playing with the seeds, who knew if he would appear in the 3 realms at any time. Although the Celestial Emperor said that it was time to prove his Tao. However, at this time, no one chose to start a war. The emperors were watching. They did not dare to move, afraid of attracting the attention of the emperors and killing, especially the Chu Wu side. They had reached an agreement with the human race before, so the monster emperor and the others did not dare to act recklessly at this time. And the Chu Wu powerhouses did not dare to act recklessly at this time. The celestial emperor and the others might not help the Chu Wu. The probability of helping the origin was higher. Under each of their scruples, all parties did not move. The three mainlands were all busy and turbulent. As for Fong Ping, he sat alone in the void, becoming the boundary between heaven and earth, motionless, as if he was ready to kill the emperors at any time. Chapter 1471. A deafening rumble was heard. Cries of pain, roars of anger. Roars, the three continents collided. At this moment, a large number of ordinary people died. A large number of martial artists died. There were also deaths in the human world. It was rare, but there were still some. The violent collision caused the earth to crack and various natural disasters to erupt. Even if the humans had already made arrangements and countless martial artists were rescuing, they still could not stop it completely. However, compared to the other two places, it was much better. At this moment, how many powerhouses in new martial arts and the catacombs were willing to rescue those ordinary people? The drastic changes in the battle of doctrine and the unification of the three realms had long left them with no time to care. There were many heavenly kings in new martial arts. They could still take care of one or two. The situation in the catacombs was really tragic. Fong Ping opened his eyes and saw the seawater engulfing the catacombs. He saw the demons attacking the catacombs. He saw the outbreak of natural disasters, taking away countless lives. He was very cold. He had never thought of helping. The humans had the ability to help. Even if they could not save everyone, they could still stop those huge disasters. However, Fong Ping did not mention it. Die. They were his enemies, and he did not care about their lives. Moreover, he was not a kind person. His kindness was only towards those who were kind to him. Fong Ping continued to close his eyes. Until this moment, his origin world had not finished expanding. It was still continuing. After a long time, Fong Ping's body trembled slightly. The expansion had finally stopped. This time, the system seemed to be calculating the data. The conversion to data was a little slow. After a while, this artifact began to operate and fed back the data to Fong Ping. In fact, without looking at the data, Fong Ping knew how much he had improved this time. The earthly emperor's family. Fong Ping really did not know what to say. It was them who forced the humans to fight. It was them who forced Fong Ping to improve. It was them who, at the last moment, pinned all their hopes on Fong Ping. Revenge, break the cage, and destroy this despairing three realms. Vitality. 95 million calories mentality. 650,000 Hertz jade bones. 99%. With vitality qualitative change. Origin world. 98,500 meters combat techniques. Chaos vanquishing saber techniques. Plus 20%. Strength control. 100% plus 20%. It had become much, much stronger. Vitality had increased from 40 million to 95 million directly. It had more than doubled. The increase in mental power was slightly less, but it was still terrifyingly powerful. 650,000 hertz. Fong Ping, on the other hand, frowned slightly. He was thinking, was it enough? Was the power of the three emperors enough for him to convert? How much power was left? Not being able to convert it into origin power was actually a great loss. Fong Ping could not care less about leaving some energy for Old Wang and the other two. Right now, improving himself was the best choice for him. Very soon, Fong Ping began the conversion. The system's main body, the invisible little ball, also started to tremble. The power it provided seemed to be intermittent. Clearly, the power of the three emperors was about to run out. Fong Ping did not know if he could recharge it. He hoped that he could find a way. This still depended on the God Crafting Envoy. Fortunately, he brought the God Crafting Envoy back this time. Only the God Creation Envoy had the hope of finding a way to charge this kind of divine tool. The next moment, Fong Ping completed the conversion. As for the main body of the system, it felt like it was running out of energy storage at this moment. Fong Ping sighed. The next time he leveled up, it might be difficult to convert. His current strength might be his limit. Vitality: 0, 80 million calories. Mentality: 0, 800,000 hertz. Origin force: 8,000 original, 160 million calories. Vitality: Jade bones, 99% vitality. Qualitative change: source world, 98500 meters. Combat technique: chaos vanquishing saber technique, plus 20%. Strength control, 100%, plus 20%. Maximum vitality: 224 million. Fong Ping's gaze was a little strange. Strong, too strong. At this moment, he felt that he was terrifyingly powerful. It actually exceeded 200 million calories. He suddenly felt that he could rival the Celestial Emperor and the Sun God now. The Sun God and the Celestial Emperor's strength had probably reached this level. The Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor should be slightly weaker. They might be close to 200 million, but there was a high probability that they had not reached 200 million. Did this not mean that the current him had hope of dealing with the Celestial Emperor? Fong Ping looked at the sky. He did not expect that his source world would expand so much after the earthly emperor's family integrated into his own source world. It had directly reached more than 90,000 meters, close to 100,000 meters. According to his past experience, 100,000 meters might be another world. More than 220 million calories. Fong Ping adapted to his strength, adapted to the strength of his physical body. He looked at the sky and frowned slightly. He should have reached their level, right? The earthly emperor's family had really brought him too much transformation and strengthening. The strengthening surprised Fong Ping. He had actually broken through the 200 million mark. This was the symbol of the Sun God and the Celestial Emperor. Fong Ping looked at the sky. After a while, his eyes suddenly flickered, and he looked at his own source world. The expansion of his source world would make his strength stronger. In fact, the strength of his body had a lot to do with the source world. But now, Fong Ping found something strange. His source world seemed to be a little unstable. It seemed like it could not support his more than 200 million calories combat strength. When the war broke out, he might have such powerful strength for a short time. However, the source would be like the previous Tao. Maybe it would collapse. Emperor Tao. At this moment, Fong Ping suddenly understood. Emperor Tao. This world was not stable. He still lacked Emperor Tao. Previously, Emperor did not cultivate Emperor Tao purely, and the Tao fruit was mainly absorbed by suppressing Heavenly King. Fong Ping only intercepted some of the strength. In this way, this world was actually not stable. More than 200 million calories combat strength was mostly provided by this source world. Fong Ping was actually another Celestial Emperor. Of course, the source of his source world's energy was not bestowed by the seed. Instead, it was what Fong Ping had intercepted and stolen from the current source world, including what the earthly sovereign's family had stolen. In this world, Fong Ping was also a dominator like the Celestial Emperor. Fong Ping's heart stirred slightly. My origin can't support an outburst of more than 200 million cal combat strength. Celestial the Arch had waited for so many years and never dealt with Qiong and the others. Perhaps it was because the origin was not perfect enough. The Demon Emperor Tao fruit had not condensed, and the Heaven, Earth, and Human Emperor Tao fruits were not authentic enough. Even if his source of power is sufficient and his combat power is over 200 million, there is a high chance that he will not be able to fight for long, just like me. On the other hand, he might be able to last longer in the origin. If that's the case, no wonder he invited old Zhang to corroborate his Tao. No wonder he hoped that the Tao tree could corroborate his Tao. Fong Ping could more or less understand Celestial Emperor's state now. Very strong, at least not weaker than him. However, the Celestial the Arch was the same as him. His origin was not stable enough. Fong Ping was the same. If they fought for a long time, the origin world would collapse and their combat strength would decline rapidly. As for the Divine Emperor and Do, they might know this drawback. That was why the two of them did not leave the source world. They were certain that it was safer in the source world. The Celestial Emperor would not dare to attack them in the source world. The instability of the source world was most likely related to the Sun God. This guy swallowed a lot of power and left, causing the source world to become more unstable. Otherwise, with the scale and quantity of the first source world, even if it was not stable, it should be stronger than Fong Ping's world. However, the Celestial Emperor was not powerful to the point of being terrifying. This meant that the current first source world was not as stable as his second source world. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was riddled with holes. A source that is riddled with holes like this can actually allow the Celestial Emperor to reach this point and even support the Divine Emperor and the others. This is truly terrifying. A source world that was almost in ruins could support so many powerhouses without collapsing. It was simply terrifying. The immortal source is to repair the source world. Fong Ping looked at the sun. At this time, he completely understood. The goal of the immortal source was to repair the source world, to repair the places that were riddled with holes by the sun god. It was also to seal the source world. Seal the source world. Fong Ping was slightly shocked. He had sealed the source world. His strength had a 20% bonus. What about the Celestial Emperor? What if he had sealed the source world? Would there be an additional 20% bonus? Oh, I definitely will. Therefore, as long as the immortal source is formed and the source world is sealed, he can instantly increase the power outburst by more than 40 million calories. He can then kill the Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor successfully. Therefore, the Celestial Emperor has been waiting. Otherwise, to deal with the Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor, he may break the source world himself. The current Celestial Emperor cannot crush both of them. Fong Ping completely understood. He understood that the Celestial Emperor was waiting for an opportunity, waiting for the bonus of strength. For a powerhouse like the Celestial Emperor, an instant increase of more than 40 million calories was too terrifying. In addition, the source world was more stable. He could fight for a long time without fear of breaking the source world. This kind of Celestial Emperor was in his strongest state. Fong Ping understood. He and the Celestial Emperor were now in an unstable state. On the other hand, the Sun God, Fong Ping, gritted his teeth. Sun God's combat strength might not be as good as his and the Celestial Emperor's. But this old guy, his combat strength could last forever. He did not need the source world to be stable. If that was the case, after a long battle, the Sun God might be the strongest. The Celestial Emperor wants to seal the source world. First, he wants to use the immortal source to repair those areas that have been sucked dry by the Sun God. Second, he wants to cut off the three emperors' Tao. Fong Ping calculated in his heart. Sooner or later, the Celestial Emperor would attack the three emperors. This was for sure. Otherwise, he could not complete the increase in strength. A good plan to seal the source world, but it is riddled with holes and full of loopholes. Fong Ping sneered. It was not that the Celestial Emperor was incompetent. It was not that he was useless. The key was that there were too many troublemakers. Zhan was causing trouble. Earthly Sovereign was causing trouble. The Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor were also causing trouble. The key was still the Sun God. This Sun God guy suddenly rushed over and sucked the source world into a pavilion. This was the most unfortunate thing for the Celestial Emperor. Yes, from a sphere, sucked into a pavilion. This was the Sun God's masterpiece. It caused the Celestial Emperor to have no choice but to build the Sanjiao Gate and create the immortal source. In the end, the three emperors cultivated by the Divine Emperor and the others pierced 3 holes. Could he not fail? Fong Ping shook his head. The Celestial Emperor was considered unlucky. Otherwise, if the Sun God had not absorbed so much energy that the powerhouses of the 3 realms were trapped, they would have died today. The 3 realms would not be like this a long time ago. Fong Ping suddenly laughed. He suddenly sympathized with the Celestial Emperor. A good revenge plan ended up in a mess. He was just one step away from success. However, it was this step that was messed up by the Sun God. The Celestial Emperor had no choice but to tear down the east wall to repair the west wall, leaving opportunities for others again and again to cause trouble. The Sun God said that he is the savior. It's not wrong. Fong Ping laughed. Otherwise, how powerful would the Celestial Emperor be if he succeeded at that time. His strength would increase, the source world would be sealed, and his combat strength would be stable. It was even possible for him to reach 300 million calories. Who could contend with such a celestial emperor? One wrong step leads to many wrong steps. Fong Ping was a little amused. In the end, the celestial emperor might even want to chase the emperor god and the others away. But these few might have sensed that something was wrong and refused to leave. Yes, this was the attitude the emperor god and the others gave Fong Ping. They would not leave. They did not plan to leave the source world at all. If they left, it would be even more dangerous. After laughing for a while, Fong Ping could not laugh anymore. He was very powerful. However, he was now like the celestial emperor, falling into a vicious cycle. Fighting a prolonged battle would cause his source world to be riddled with holes and even collapse. The celestial emperor was using the immortal source to make up for it. Moreover, his source world was very powerful and more stable. What about himself? Did he have to look for old Zhang and let him make up for it? Combat strength can't last long. When dealing with people like the celestial emperor, how can we not fight fiercely? Once our source world collapses, we'll be sending ourselves to death. Fong Ping sighed and looked at old Zhang, who was commanding the martial artist to suppress the disaster in the distance. Could it be that old Zhang really had to die to help him? This was not a problem of Dao severing. Li Zhu and the others had burned their Dao fruits and themselves to succeed. Old Zhang might also have to sacrifice himself to perfect the emperor's path. If I tell him, he'll probably do it, so I can't tell him about this yet. Fong Ping shook his head slightly. He could not say it. If he did, old Zhang might really do it. His death would make up for Fong Ping's source world, allowing Fong Ping to have the ability to fight against the celestial emperor and the others. Old Zhang would definitely be happy. However, Fong Ping had fought until today to protect these people. If these people died, what was the point of fighting? This is troublesome. Fong Ping felt that it was troublesome, very troublesome. If his combat strength could not last long, so what if he had more than 200 million cal? He did not have to be so strong to kill the weak. If he could not kill the powerhouses in a short time, he would be in big trouble. Now, he was in the same situation as the celestial emperor, really caught in a struggle. Meow! At this moment, behind him, a cat meowed. It looked at Fong Ping curiously, its claws knocking on Fong Ping's head. Fong Ping laughed. Why are you here? Meow. Liar. The cat's fat face was full of a strange expression. I think a cat is going to appear in your house. Huh? A trash can cat. The cat continued to knock his head, muttering, There's no one now. If there are more people and lives, a trash can will appear in your small world. Otherwise, it will be like this source world. Fong Ping frowned slightly and glanced at the cat. Trashkin. This was the cat's favorite thing to say recently. Fong Ping suddenly realized that if the celestial emperor really wanted to seal the source world, he would definitely capture this cat and bring it back. Not for anything else, but to let this cat absorb and integrate some of the source world's injuries. This was the purpose of the cat's existence. The cat seemed to understand. It squatted beside Fong Ping, raised its head, looked at Fong Ping, and muttered, Liar. Why don't you not have a cat in your house? How about I become a trash can for you? Fong Ping's gaze moved slightly, looking at the cat. The cat said dejectedly, I can go back to that source world and become a trash can, or I can go back to this source world and become a trash can. But in that place, the celestial emperor is bad and bad. He definitely won't give me anything delicious to eat. Why don't I become a trash can here, liar? You can give me something delicious to eat. Fong Ping frowned. You can absorb all the filth of the source world. I guess I can? The cat was also not sure, muttering, I can try. Fong Ping patted the big cat's head, chuckling. It's not that serious. Even if you really come to my source world and become a trash can, you can still be free and unfettered. I know what the problem with the celestial emperor's source world is. Sun God and the others made a mess, causing all kinds of loopholes in the source world. If my side is more stable, it won't be like that. If you really come here, then just eat and sleep, sleep, and eat, just like for the past tens of thousands of years, helping to suppress the small black mud swamp. At this moment, Fong Ping knew more about the source world. If the cat could really absorb these things, it would not produce too much when it came to his side. Because his source world, although small, was relatively much more stable and complete. Of course, the premise was that the Emperor path was included. Otherwise, it would be worse than the Celestial Emperor, and it would be more troublesome. If that was the case, even if the cat came, it would not have to suppress the source world forever. It would be fine as long as it was in its current state. Fong Ping did not refuse because he was thinking about a problem. The problem that the earthly sovereign said, if he could move the human race into the source world, his own source world, and cut off the connection with the seed, then the seed's spiritual intelligence would dissipate, and the human race would be safe. Cut off. Fong Ping fell into deep thought. Could it be done? Could it cut off the connection between the seed and the human race? His source world, including himself, essentially, the power still came from the seed. Could it really cut off the seed? The earthly sovereign said that he was special, coming from the inside of the seed, and not considered a person of the three realms. But he was also born from the seed. Would he not provide wisdom to the seed if he was alive? Also, the world inside the seed also had a large number of human beings living in it. Sometimes Fong Ping wondered if the seed could not destroy its wisdom at all. Even if the three realms were destroyed, as long as the world was not destroyed, wouldn't the seed still have wisdom? Unless there was something different. Only the human race of the three realms could provide the seed with spiritual intelligence. Different place, Fong Ping fell into deep thought. Since the earthly sovereign and the rest knew that the seed had an inner world, why did they believe that he could destroy the seed's wisdom? These people were not stupid. That world and the people in this world are actually the same. Back then, someone told me that it could only be considered a projected world. A projected world, Fong Ping muttered to himself. A projected world. Yes, that inner world could only be considered a projected world of the three realms. That was why he could walk out of the seed's world and merge with himself in this world. Could it be that that world is actually considered a kind of illusion and not a real world? Fong Ping murmured. Was that so? Otherwise, it did not make sense that Zhan and the earthly sovereign both knew that the seed had an inner world, yet they still chose to do so. Perhaps the seed could only create one world. When the three realms were destroyed, the inner world could only be turned from illusion to reality. Then what am I? Fong Ping shook his head. Then what was he? Was he detached from the outside world? Or was it that he had not detached from the outside world? Perhaps in the end, he had to destroy himself to make the seed's wisdom disappear? It's a complicated question, but now I don't have to think about this. Fong Ping exhaled. Now he did not have to think about this. The key was still Celestial Emperor and the rest. If he did not deal with these people, it would be meaningless to think about it. The immortal source was about to mature. Celestial Emperor was urging those people to prove their Tao. This was just the beginning. Next, he would definitely force them to prove their Tao, make them perfect their Tao, perfect the immortal source, and then break the immortal source to repair the source. Big cat. Fong Ping suddenly glanced at the cat and laughed. Are you a demon? I don't think so. The cat looked at him strangely. Why are you looking at me? Are you a creature of the three realms? The earthly sovereign said to destroy the human race. Fong Ping felt that to destroy the seed's wisdom, he might have to destroy all the creatures of the three realms, not just the human race. The cat blinked. I don't know. I'm a cat. Am I not a creature? Fong Ping laughed. Maybe you really don't count. Fong Ping murmured. Maybe you're the only creature in the three realms that is not a creature. Patting the cat's head, Fong Ping laughed. If one day I die, you go and eat the seed. Eat it into your cat world and fill the black swamp, okay? The cat blinked its big eyes and looked at Fong Ping, as if it understood what he meant. Lying beside Fong Ping, the cat did not say a word, its tail sweeping Fong Ping's cheek. I know, you're very smart. You know what I mean. If that day really comes, you'll do it. Haven't you never eaten the seed before? Follow me. I'll let you have a taste of meat. You can eat the seed too. Fong Ping laughed. Eat the seed. What a great dream. You will have a chance to realize it. Meow. A cat's cry with some sadness sounded. The cat did not reply. Was the three realms really going to be destroyed? The liar had already prepared himself for this. He seemed to be dissatisfied with the current three realms. If the three realms were destroyed, the seed would be destroyed. Would the cat eat the seed and create a new three realms? At that time, would there still be liars? The cat lay on its stomach, wagging its tail, sweeping Fong Ping. Why was the three realms so heartless? As for Fong Ping, he looked at the sky again and chuckled softly. He hoped that he could isolate the seed. If that was the case, perhaps he did not need to die. Could he hide in a new world and let the cat eat the seed? Of course, the premise was that he had to kill Celestial Emperor and the others. A group of annoying fellows. The three realms have been turned into a mess by these people. He hated this group of old antiques. Only when the source is stable can we hope to kill Celestial Emperor. Fong Ping murmured and fell into deep thought. How should I choose? P.S. Promote a book. Great Ming's outstanding youth. Look at the saber in my hand. Am I outstanding? Chapter 1472. The rumbling sounds continued. The three continents collided and merged, the source universe descended, and ninth heaven shattered. This scene was like the creation of the world. The three realms was restoring the ecology of the ancient times. Of course, compared to the ancient times, there was something more in the sky now. The source universe, which did not exist in the ancient times. Beginner martial world had changed. In midair, after a while, old Zhang and the others arrived. Looking at Fong Ping, who was not far away, old Zhang glanced at King, subduing with a complicated gaze. Now, many emperors had died, and the remaining were top-notch powerhouses, true invincible powerhouses. Even King subduing could not help Fong Ping much at this moment. The pressure was shifted to Fong Ping once again. Old Zhang felt very guilty and helpless. He did not expect Fong Ping to walk so fast and so far. He originally thought that he could play a big role after breaking through 9 and his combat strength began to approach 100 million. But now it seemed that it was still not enough. Old Devilgen, if you, me, and the others join forces, can we deal with the Emperor God and the others? Hearing this, King Subduing was a little helpless and said telepathically, I'm afraid it's still not enough to deal with the Emperor God and the others, but I have some confidence in dealing with Emperor Dongwang. They had a lot of people, and King Subduing's combat strength was also over 100 million. In addition to King Wu, God Creation, Tengu, Cat Scholar, if they roped in dragon form and Qin Fengqing, who was still in the origin, it might be a little difficult to deal with the Emperor God, but they still had some confidence in dealing with Emperor Dongwang. Before this, no one had actually considered this point, and no one had thought of dealing with the Emperor God and the others. Because the 9 emperors were all alive, there were too many people, and everyone wanted to kill as many as they could. But now, North Emperor and the others were all dead, and there were only a few left. Dealing with the Emperor God and the others had actually exceeded their expectations. Zhang Tao did not say anything else and quickly appeared beside Fong Ping. Fong Ping opened his eyes and looked at them, smiling. Done. Done. Old Zhang chuckled. It's not a big deal. At this point, would these guys dare to provoke us? Our enemies are only those few in the sky, and the others are nothing to worry about. However, Beginner Marshal and the Catacombs might start a war, and some conflicts have broken out between these two sides. After all, Beginner Marshal has cooperated with us. Do you think we should make a move? Beginner. Fong Ping cast his gaze toward another mainland that had begun to merge with the human world. Over there, waves of heavenly king coercion rose, stabilizing the mainland and calming the hearts of the people. Both sides did not dare to provoke humans, but there was not much fear between the Catacombs and beginner martial artists. Fong Ping watched for a while and said calmly, Don't bother. Let them fight. Weaken the strength of both sides and let some of the troublemakers die. Otherwise, it will be difficult to discipline them. Old Zhang raised his eyebrows slightly. Fong Ping smiled and said, since the three continents have merged, of course, they have to be unified. Don't tell me they still want to have a tripartite system? Those who should be killed were killed. Those who should be pacified were pacified. And those who should be subdued could also be subdued. There are billions of people on both sides. Are we really going to kill them all? Fong Ping continued, of course, these people might not be able to live for long. Fong Ping's tone was a little chilly. Once the war starts, our people won't even be enough to protect the humans, let alone them. When the time comes, how many of them survive or die will depend on their luck. It all depended on luck. If they really fought against the Celestial, the Arch, and the others, who would go out of their way to control themselves, the three realms were bound to be affected. There were many human powerhouses. They could still protect one or two people. The other two continents could only depend on their own luck. If they were unlucky, they would all be annihilated. If they were lucky, there might be quite a number of people who could survive. Fong Ping did not think there was anything wrong with it. He could not possibly let the human powerhouses go and protect others instead of protecting their own people. When old Zhang heard this, he did not say anything else. He could not even care about himself. Naturally, he could not care about others. Heavenly King Suppressing looked at Fong Ping and raised his eyebrows slightly. He said with some uncertainty, is what Hong and the rest did effective? Has your source world really separated from the source ground? Yes, it's separated from the source ground, but separated from the source ground did not mean that it's separated from the seed world. Fong Ping had no way to test this. Heavenly King Suppressing saw him nod and said with some emotion, Hong, this guy has really exceeded my expectations. As he said that, Heavenly King Suppressing continued, now Celestial Emperor is waiting for the immortal source to mature. He frowned slightly, looking at the big sun in the sky. He felt a little awkward and a little uncomfortable. Now all the schemes were laid out in the open. Celestial Emperor was waiting for the immortal source to mature. Very soon, Heavenly King Suppressing knew what kind of state the immortal source was in. He sighed softly and said, now that the three realms are one, it is easier to comprehend the origin. The origin is right in front of us. Even if everyone does not cultivate, the rich energy of the three realms and the clear sense of Tao can also let people quickly step into rank 9 and enter the origin. When more people enter rank 9, this immortal source will mature. The source universe directly descended into the three realms. The source ground was right in front of them. It could be said that even if everyone did not cultivate now, they would still make rapid progress. Fong Ping was silent. Old Zhang hesitated for a moment and asked, can sending people to your source world cut off the connection with the immortal source? If it could, then it would be simple. Fong Ping shook his head slightly. No, he could not do it. These people's Tao was connected to the immortal source and related to the source ground. Even if they entered their own source world, even if his source world cut off the source ground, it still could not cut off their Tao. This was what Fong Ping was having a headache about. Old Zhang frowned slightly and said, can it? In that case, your source world is still unable to cut off the entire three realms. In that case, your source world is actually not completely independent. Fong Ping said nothing. Old Zhang said again, is there a flaw in your source ground? It's not too bad. No, there should be a flaw. Otherwise, I think it might be possible to cut it off, Old Zhang said faintly. Is it because the Emperor path is not complete? Fong Ping frowned and looked up at him. The formation of the source ground is more complicated than you think. Do you think that if you sacrifice yourself, my source ground will be complete? Aren't you overestimating yourself? Old Zhang smiled and nodded. Don't worry. I won't act recklessly without full confidence. He raised his head and glanced at the sun, then at the surroundings. There were people constantly stepping into a higher realm. Suddenly he chuckled softly. The whole world is almost at a high martial arts level. Everyone was becoming stronger. The source and the three realms were one. There was no shortage of energy. At this moment, a large number of martial artists were beginning to advance. A large number of ordinary people had stepped onto the path of martial artists. It was an exaggeration to say that the whole world was a high rank. But now, the number of high-ranked martial artists was probably more than 10 million. This number was still increasing. If this went on, the immortal source would mature very quickly. Old Zhang sighed softly. I want everyone to stop cultivating, but they cannot cultivate either. If they don't cultivate, the environment of the three realms is not suitable for survival at all. The gravity has increased. Space cracks are everywhere. Energy has exploded. It has even begun to compress the entire three realms. If they don't cultivate, everyone can't even breathe. They can't even survive. They have no choice but to cultivate to resist the pressure and the sea of suffering. But if they cultivate and become stronger, the immortal source will mature even faster, another dead end. If you don't cultivate, it will be difficult for you to even survive. If you cultivate, the immortal source will mature faster and faster. Old Zhang looked at the sky again and chuckled. I asked the god forging envoy, when the Tao on the immortal source exceeds 1,000,000, the immortal source may be completely mature. 1,000,000 people will step into rank 9. Now, the human rank 9 martial artists are probably more than 100,000. Old Zhang's eyes were faint. He looked around. In the void, many Tao appeared. Many rank 8 martial artists quickly stepped into rank 9. Old Zhang did not stop them. He had no way to stop them. The Tao was right in front of them. Just like Fong Ping and the others back then, the Tao was tempting them to step into it. Not everyone could resist this temptation like Fong Ping and Old Man Li. Many people could not help but step into the Tao of origin directly. There was no way to stop them. Moreover, if they did not break through here, it would be the same in the catacombs. Not only that, there were actually quite a lot of people who cultivated the Tao of origin. They were also stepping into the Tao of origin. If the humans did not break through here, they would break through sooner or later. The immortal source would mature sooner or later. And now, on the 3 continents, the human rank 9 martial artists were not the most. There were more in the catacombs. They had many martial artists to begin with. Back then, there were thousands of rank 9 martial artists in the outer domain. There were tens of thousands of rank 9 martial artists in the inner domain. In the past few years, as cultivation became easier, although the human world had obtained greater convenience, the catacombs also had such convenience. Now there were more rank 9 martial artists in the catacombs because there were many demons, especially the bitter sea demons. Back then, the lowest among them was rank 8. Including these demons, there should be more than 100,000 rank 9 in the catacombs. There were also many rank 9 martial artists in the Chua mainland. On the 3 continents, there were more than 300,000 martial artists above rank 9. And this number was now increasing crazily. According to Old Zhang and the others' judgment, if this went on, it would take a year at most. Maybe not even a year, this number would exceed 1,000,000. Old Zhang paused and said, this refers to rank 9. In fact, when someone breaks through Paragon, Emperor, Heavenly King, or even Emperor, one person can fight against thousands, Old Zhang said bitterly. So if all of them really need rank 9, then we may still have a year. But the situation is not like that. Now, there are even many people who want to achieve Emperor Realm. One Emperor Realm may be comparable to 10,000 rank 9 martial artists. If King Qian and the others succeed, then the immortal source will mature faster. Heavenly King Jin also added, we want to get rid of these guys and buy some time. But if we make a move now, I'm afraid the Celestial Emperor won't just watch. In this way, if we make a move, it may cause the war to break out earlier. Again, it was a dilemma on both sides. Old Zhang said with a smile, so, I think we still have to delay. If we delay, maybe there will be a higher chance. Fong Ping did not say anything. He also looked up at the immortal source. What did Emperor West say? Fong Ping asked suddenly. Old Zhang said helplessly, what else can he say? He said he's not good at fighting and his strength is not that great. He can help us restrain the Spirit Emperor. That's the most he can do. Also, he wants us to send people to help. It's best if Xu Xiang and the others come together. Fong Ping laughed. To restrain a Spirit Emperor, Emperor West actually wanted Xu Xiang and the others to help. This guy had a good plan. Heavenly King Jin also said with a smile, This guy can't be counted on. As for my master, I went to Sun City and couldn't find him. I don't know if he's hiding or something happened. He said with a slight headache, I don't know what this old guy is doing. Fong Ping did not say anything. Actually, he had sensed it before. Now that he thought about it, he said slowly, he may not be in the three realms, or not in the three realms in the origin, but in another space. I have some senses. There are two powerful forces fighting. He may have encountered Seed. Previously, when Emperor asked for help, he wanted to find Seed. Seed did not help, maybe because he was restrained. Fong Ping chuckled. It's a good thing. Seed is a variable. Now that he is really entangled with Sun God, it will reduce a lot of trouble. Let that old guy play with Seed. As Fong Ping said, he looked at old Zhang. Your next mission is not on Earth. Go to the other two mainlands. Whether you agree or not, try to unify the three realms. Maybe you can continue to strengthen your strength. Emperor God, Emperor Do, Emperor East, Celestial Emperor, a total of 4 powerhouses. Even if I deal with Celestial Emperor, I'm afraid I can't do anything about the others. I still need your help. Emperor Heaven Reverse and Emperor God's attitude is unclear. Even if Celestial Emperor is restrained now, no one knows what they are thinking. Therefore, at the critical moment, we still need powerhouses to restrain them. Even if we can't deal with them, we still need to entangle them. You and Heaven Subduing King have the highest hope, Fong Ping exhaled. Although you don't enter the Source Land to prove your Tao, if you really get the recognition of the three realms, I think even if you don't prove your Tao, your combat strength will still increase a lot. In addition, all humans are becoming stronger. When the time comes, you can borrow more power. Even if you can't match them, you can still stop them from causing trouble. Old Zhang nodded slightly. I'll try. Now that the human race is strong, I have indeed received a lot of feedback. However, there are also some drawbacks. Mentality and vitality force are about to be unbalanced. That thing, I'll hand it over to the God Forging Envoy. I think the power inside is almost exhausted. When the God Forging Envoy has a way to recharge it, then we'll think of a way. The two continued to communicate for a while. Old Zhang did not say anything else. He still had a lot of things to do. The speed of the three realms merging was too fast, beyond expectations. He saw how to run around now, including with Chu Wu and even the catacombs. He had to pay attention. Old Zhang came quickly and left quickly as well. After he left, Heaven Subduing King said softly, your source land still lacks humanity. The Celestial Emperor has always wanted to make up for all kinds of great Tao, but he has not succeeded. Your chances are greater than the Celestial Emperor's. If Zhang Tao, Fong Ping looked at him and said slowly, if what? Learn from the earthly emperor's family? Fong Ping said in a low voice, this is not what I want to see. Moreover, even if he really does it, he may not be able to bring life to the human race. I know. Heaven Subduing King sighed, looked at the sky, changed the topic, and said, the Divine Emperor and Do are actually gambling. They are gambling that you are strong and will attack the Celestial Emperor or them. Obviously, they are confident that it is the Celestial Emperor. This is because the problem with the immortal source is here. If the immortal source is not broken, nothing else can be discussed. And the truth is indeed so. We must destroy the immortal source. However, if we destroy the immortal source, the Celestial Emperor will definitely stop us and attack. Therefore, these two bastards are smart. I'm afraid they still want to take advantage of the situation. As he said that, he continued, moreover, the Celestial Emperor will not attack them. If he does, he will push them to our side. He would rather they sit back and do nothing than force them to fall to us. In addition, they are stationed at the Source Land. The Celestial Emperor will not mess up his camp at this time. Fong Ping nodded slightly, did not speak, and played with a jade pendant in his hand. This was the last of the 3 treasures of the earthly emperor. He did not know what the earthly emperor left in the jade pendant. The crystal ball was the Tao fruit. That was the life of the earthly emperor. The jade sword was the strongest attack left by the earthly emperor. What about the jade pendant? Fong Ping played with it for a while and crushed the jade pendant. In his mind, the voice of the earthly emperor sounded again. His laughter was very domineering. Ha ha, I am back again. The image of the earthly emperor appeared in Fong Ping's mind. He laughed for a while and began to speak. Fong Ping listened quietly. Beside him, although the heaven-subduing king did not know what Fong Ping was doing, he could roughly guess. After a long time, Fong Ping exhaled softly, smiled, and looked up at the sky again. The three realms merged into one. In the chaos, the human continent quickly stabilized and even began the reconstruction work. Under the compression and collision of the continents, countless buildings collapsed. However, at this time, the reconstruction work began. The catacombs and beginner martial artists could not understand at all. At this time, it was a matter of life and death, whether they could survive or not. Yet the humans were still carrying out the reconstruction work. Not only that, in the human world, order was restored, classes resumed, children continued to go to school, and other industries began to resume their normal work. At the border of the continent, the human military martial artists increased and began to strengthen the defense line to prevent the catacombs and beginner martial artists from rushing in. Separated by the Mount Royal Sea defense line, on one side were corpses everywhere, and on the other side was the still prosperous human world. The powerhouses watched from the sky. In contrast, there was some indescribable complexity. Was there any meaning in maintaining this false prosperity in the human world at this time? Maybe in a few months, maybe in a few days, the three realms might turn into ruins. At this time, rebuilding and maintaining the normal social order was not only time-consuming, it was also very meaningless. The catacombs powerhouses did not understand, and the beginner martial powerhouses did not understand. Even if the beginner martial artists were not as chaotic as the catacombs, it was not to the point where they had to maintain the normal order at this time. In times of great chaos, not only natural disasters but also man-made disasters. Faced with the danger of the world being destroyed, countless people went crazy. Even in the Chu-Wu continent, wars were breaking out continuously at this moment. Vengeance for vengeance, vengeance for vengeance. Killing, plundering, massacring cities to vent, these things were happening all the time. Some powerhouses could not stay calm in the face of such a crisis. Some people had already gone crazy. In addition, there were no powerhouses to restrain them at this moment. These people had already gone crazy. They lived day by day and did all kinds of evil. Even in the human world, there were crazy powerhouses who wanted to kill over. However, after old Zhang killed 2 saints, the situation improved a little. However, the situation of catacombs powerhouses killing over to the Chu-Wu continent and beginner martial powerhouses killing over to the catacombs continent was constantly happening. Darkness and turmoil far surpassed what it was 8,000 years ago. Even the chaotic era 8,000 years ago was not as good as this moment. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, the chaos continued, and it even began to spread to a larger area. As it became easier to comprehend the origin Tao, a large number of origin powerhouses began to break through. Breakthroughs were also accompanied by the snatching and killing of resources. There were even people who proved their heavenly kings and wanted to go further, and began to attack beginner martial artists. There were also many heavenly kings in the beginner martial world, but they were also unwilling to be robbed. Powerhouses from both sides in the Bitter Sea area broke out many heavenly king battles, and even heavenly kings began to fall. Powerhouses, more and more. Rank 9, more and more. That sun seemed to be getting brighter and brighter. The immortal source was constantly maturing and growing. Fong Ping was still guarding the celestial dividing line. Zhang Tao had already begun to assign tasks, and orders were passed down in all directions. Not only that, Zhang Tao began to intervene in the other 2 continents. At this moment, the powerhouses of the 2 continents, however, did not have the energy to care about these. Just yesterday, King Qian and Feng wanted to ambush Illusion, and both sides broke out in a fight. Including Luan and Stonewall, they also began to wander over at the beginner martial world. Obviously, these 2 also wanted to prove their path as emperors. Although they all knew that proving their path as emperors might cause them to die faster, No one was willing to give up at this time. Capital City. Old Zhang's old nest. At this moment, old Zhang stood by the window, looking at the faraway land. The black dot floating in the air, ordinary people could not see it at all, but he could sense where Fang Ping was. Fang Ping had been staying there, floating in the air, suppressing the origin land. Yes, Fang Ping was right under the origin land, not giving the emperors a chance to intervene in the three realms. Previously, celestial emperors seemed to want to continue to push the three realms war, let the powerhouses who broke 8 continue to fight, but the voice transmission was broken by Fang Ping, and both sides almost broke out into war. Father, a call woke Zhang Tao up. He turned his head to look at his son, who had just returned not long ago, smiled, and said softly, "How's the mission going?" Zhang Wu, also known as Hua Qidao, glanced at Zhang Tao, saw the exhaustion in his eyes, and also saw his helplessness. Sighing softly in his heart, Zhang Wu said, "It's going very well. Everyone is very supportive of father's decision." But Zhang Wu paused and said softly, "Are you really not going to tell Minister Fang? I'm afraid that when the time comes, he will." Zhang Tao waved his hand, smiled, and said, "Who does he think he is? I'm King Wu, the current emperor. Moreover, the human race does not belong to him alone, fighting alone. It's not his turn to be a hero." Zhang Tao smiled and said again, "Does everyone have any objections?" Zhang Wu said in a low voice, "They know what father means, and they also understand what their responsibilities are. Neo-martial artists may not be strong enough, but the neo-martial spirit will not be forgotten." Neo-martial spirit? Zhang Tao looked out the window, smiled, and laughed a little self-deprecatingly. Neo-martial spirit. That's just something I used to fool everyone after I became the minister, and they all took it seriously. People are so stupid, fooling them however they want. This shouldn't have been their war. Father, Zhang Wu said in a low voice, "This is not your responsibility, nor is it Minister Fang's. This is everyone's. We only hate that we're not strong enough, that we can't face the enemy head-on, but we are also willing to contribute, to forge this era together, to let this era last forever." Difficult, difficult. Zhang Tao sighed, looking at the tiny black dot and murmured, "But it's already reached this point, it's not bad." Zhang Wu said no more. After a moment, someone came directly through the air, and Li Zhan appeared instantly. Seeing Zhang Wu, he did not say anything, looked at Zhang Tao, and said in a low voice, "I've already made arrangements in the military. Everyone supports your decision." As he said that, Li Zhan hesitated and said, "But I didn't make arrangements in MCMAU, do you?" MCMAU. Old Zhang smiled, shook his head slowly, and said, "I won't make arrangements in MCMAU. That kid is very protective. If he really finds out, he'll come after me. It's okay not to use MCMAU." "Yes, I understand," Li Zhen responded, and then said with a light laugh, "Speaking of which, Yun Yue and I are also considered Emperor Path, right? Even if not, we're still Emperor Path, right? And Wu Chuan, Zhang Weiyu, have you forgotten about us? You?" Old Zhang turned his head and glanced at him. After a while, he sneered and said, "Don't say that. You can't afford to lose face like this. Emperor Path and Emperor are not as weak as you, and you have the nerve to say that. If it were me, I'd be too embarrassed to say this now." Li Zhen's face turned green. He was looking down on him too much. This bastard was exactly the same as Fang Ping. Neither of them were good people. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.